606 to Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Good morning, everybody. Brian here with you. Jake producing. We call it Mornings with Brian Haldane. We are off and running on this Thursday morning. Oh, so much ground to cover today. I cannot wait. Cannot wait. There are very few sports on LSU's campus that aren't getting covered today. Not going to be a full-on sports show. We'll leave that up to our sister station right down the hall. Or I should say upstairs and down the hall at 104.5 ESPN. But we got LSU basketball to talk. We got LSU baseball to talk. We got LSU football to talk. We got LSU softball. Sweet 16 is back in. Is back as of today. It doesn't involve LSU, but, I mean, we're just overloaded there. Patrick Crimestoppers going to hop on board at 6:35 this morning. Patty G joins us every single Thursday to talk a little business. I got a couple topics we need to cover in this particular business segment. We're going to talk a little bit about Red Stick Social, but came across a Gallup poll, a story about it. Just 24% of workers think their employer cares about their well-being. I've got so many questions. First of all, do you feel like your employer should care about your well-being? I feel like the workplace environment has gotten a little more holistic in that particular sense. Oh, we're going to break it down. Is it on the employer to care about your well-being, or is it on the employee to say, yeah, you pay me, I do a job? 7 o'clock hour. Ooh, 7:15 this morning. Pinkerville's own Dan Bruyette makes his return to the show. Y'all remember Dan? He was the energy secretary under Donald Trump from Assumption Parish. He was a regular on the show for quite some time while he was a cabinet member. Well, he has moved on to other things, obviously. New president means new cabinets. He's now the president of Sempra Infrastructure. And I was talking with Stephen Wangersbach from Law B yesterday. He said, Dan's joining Law B. I said, what? Let's have a little chat about what the plans are here. Dan Bruyette, 7:15, 7:35 Crimestoppers. Lieutenant Don Capola will be by at 7:35. We'll see if we can't catch some bad guys in the 8 o'clock hour. Let's get a legislative update from State Representative Jack McFarland. Yes, I am going to ask him about setting $500 million aside for the bridge. Yes, I fully expect to have a representative from outside of Baton Rouge to have a different take than representatives inside of Baton Rouge. That's coming up at 8:15. And then at 8:40, looking forward to this, Justin Hill from the Baton Rouge Fire Department will be by. He will, I believe, have one of the team members in tow with him who booked it down to St. Bernard Parish yesterday to help in the search and rescue efforts. As another day has gone by, and actually that's where we're going to start off this morning. Another day has gone by. Fortunately, the death toll did not get past 1 yet. Unfortunately, we are seeing so much more monetary damage, destruction of property. As yesterday unfolded, we just learned more and more and more about the number of homes. Added another parish to the mix. Governor John Bel Edwards making an emergency declaration yesterday. We'll have audio in about 15 minutes from right now. Governor John Bel Edwards declaring a state of emergency in 4 different parishes. And the aftermath of Tuesday's storm is just proving to be brutal. It's the kind of thing you're braced for during hurricane season, but not so much outside of hurricane season. Governor John Bel Edwards declared a state of emergency. He says, unfortunately, this morning, many of our people are waking up with their lives upside down because of the tragic tornadoes last night in St. Bernard, Orleans, Jefferson, and St. Tammany parishes. Sadly, one person has died in the storm, and we are praying that there are no more fatalities. Thankfully, local and state responders worked through the night to help as many families as they could overnight, and the work will continue into today, of course, talking about yesterday, and the coming weeks. Unfortunately, our people have become all too familiar with rebuilding after tragedy and loss, but it's never easy. My prayers are with everyone who is hurting because of these tornadoes today, and I have pledged to local leaders that we will be here to support their long-term recovery efforts. He's not wrong about it happening way too often. And I've been making the reference to hurricane season regularly, but, I mean, let's add the floods into that. Let's add, freezes into that. Mother Nature don't like us much. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We're talking sports next. LSU baseball was at it last night for an incredibly long amount of time. Softball was at it too. Results were better on the softball field. That's coming up next. Before we take that break, though, got to remind you about the folks over at Matherns. Today is Thursday. Tomorrow is Friday. It is still Lent. You're going to want to swing by Matherns. Why? You got boiled crawfish everywhere. You in the mood for a little boiled shrimp? Yes, sir. Matherns on Nicholson, right across the street from Tiger Stadium. Swing by. It's the Nicholson Gateway Shopping Center. Yeah, they're on campus. No, they're not just for students. And yes, they are a full-service grocery store. But during the Lenten season, a lot of us step away from eating meat on a Friday. Get yourself some boiled shrimp. Even if you're not regularly abstaining from meat, it's boiled shrimp. And they're good. Had them Friday before last. Knock out your full grocery list. It is baseball season. If you're tailgating for baseball, you want to knock that out as well. It's Matherns on Nicholson, right across the street from Tiger Stadium, or downtown on 3rd Street. Quick break. Let's talk sports next. No, you can delete that. I replaced the one that was, yeah. No, not during this show. I gotta go make a copy of this for Patty G. Stupid me. I'll probably be going downstairs and let Patty G in anyway. I have yet to win a bet on college baseball. I think I'm done betting on college baseball. No. It's a midweek game between La Tech and LSU. The over set at 13.5. LSU has 0 pitching on a weekend, which means they have even less during a midweek game. La Tech can mash. LSU can mash. Over of 13.5 felt low by about 3 runs for me.
Wait, like the over and under was for
13.5.
Like score for both teams?
Total, yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. And 13 runs were scored in extra innings.
That's still the under, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the under. I took the over. I felt like it was going to be a 9-7 kind of game.
Dang.
Sucked.
That's tough.
Mm-hmm. .616, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, sports time here on Mornings with Brian Haldane. Let's start off by knocking out the bad news. La Tech sweeps the series for the season with LSU. LSU and La Tech square off twice during the year. The Bulldogs took it up in Ruston, then they came back to LSU and win it in extra innings last night. 7-6 your final score. 12 innings it took to get it done. Tigers bats, I mean, there were plenty of opportunities, especially in extra innings with runners on base. Bottom of the 12th, for example, 2 runners in scoring position. And all these big bats that were promised just did not deliver at that particular time. So, Tigers fall 7-6. They, I don't normally sweat midweek games, but LSU needs to start compiling some conference wins as well. Speaking of which, the baseball Tigers are they're on the road this weekend. They're at Florida for a 3-game set. First game will be tomorrow at 6 on our sister station, Eagle 98.1. News was a little bit better, just 2 blocks to the west, from moving from Alex Box Stadium to Tiger Park. Allie Kilponen threw her first ever no-hitter last night. Number 22 softball, Run Rules, Nichols. A game just like the baseball game. Softball game was pushed back a day because of Tuesday's weather. Allie Kilponen threw her first career no-hitter, striking out 11 of the 17 batters she faced, improves to 10-4 on the season. What was the final score in this one? I had it just a second ago. And then 12-0. 12-0 in 5 innings, and that was just done after that. So LSU softball taking care of business last night, to be sure. Softball will be at Arkansas this weekend, but it's not your normal Friday, Saturday, Sunday series. It's going to be Saturday, Sunday, Monday for softball. 7:30 p.m. first pitch on Saturday, noon on Sunday, 6 p.m. Monday, March 28th from Fayetteville, Arkansas. Sweet 16 is upon us. This is where it starts getting fun. I know all the excitement of the big dance, all the excitement of March Madness, when you have so many games at your fingertips. Like the Thursday and Friday of the NCAA basketball tournament it's one of the best events in sports. But if we're being honest with ourselves, that second week is where it really ramps up. Today's action includes Arkansas and Gonzaga. Gonzaga, 9.5-point favorite. I'm kind of leaning towards Arkansas there. Michigan and Villanova. Texas Tech and Duke. Houston and Arizona. I say at Arizona. Arizona's technically the home team. They're all at neutral locations. St. Peter's, the darling of this one, the Cinderella of this tournament. St. Peter's and Purdue. St. Peter's and Purdue isn't until Friday. Houston and Arizona is going to round things out for tonight. So a lot of really good games. When you start looking and you see the spreads under double digits, like the longest spread today is Arkansas getting 9.5. That means when the spreads are that close, it means the matchups are that close. It means really, really, really good basketball. Not done with sports. Brian Kelly met with the media to lead off spring practice yesterday. We'll have audio for you next here on Talk 107.3. All right, now I'll go get Patty G. Hopefully he's here. trying to print a one-page article. Trying to print a one-page article, not bootleg Moby Dick. Okay. Yeah, I don't. But, oh, yeah, no. We're not going to. Do I? Yeah. Hey! Morning, Christy. .624 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Patrick Grimion coming your way about 10 minutes from right now. A little bit of spillover from sports, if you will. Spring football practice is upon us. Brian Kelly met with the media to start things off, and it talks about the process up until now is, it starts with just building good habits.
We ask them to fill out a personal wellness questionnaire on their phone every day because we're creating habits. You know, good habits lead to good things happening in everything they do, in the classroom, in the community, on the football field. You know, at the other place I was at, it took a while for us to get that done. We went 7 days, 7 consecutive days where we had every guy filling those questionnaires out 100%. That, to me, those were the signs that there's the kind of commitment that I'm looking for.
Okay, I'm going to trust him here. He's the new guy. He's remarkably qualified. He's going to bring wins to LSU. He will hopefully bring multiple championships to LSU. But in the first spring practice, what we're being told right out the blocks is like the guys need to start telling their Fitbit they're getting enough water. I want to know more about what's going on the field. I get it. Everything is a process. It's got to be granular. It's got to be intricate. If it's not all in, then it's not all in. I understand. I'm hoping for something a little more groundbreaking. Not to worry, there was more to come. The habits are just one thing. Beyond that,
that's kind of where we are right now as we kind of move into spring practice. We get to add the next layer. There's been a lot of physical preparation. Now we get to add the technical and the tactical preparation, but always with building these habits on a day-to-day basis.
The physical preparation, we're not going to have enough time to get through all of this because we're limited via the clock. But one of the things that Brian Kelly talked about yesterday was the timing of spring practice. Normally, you have a little bit of practice, a little bit of spring break, and a little bit of practice. He laid it out and said they just weren't prepared to hit the field. And honestly, that was one of the more reassuring things that he had to say yesterday. Was that my take from hearing it? When you have that level of need to be prepared ahead of time, you don't just go out there and wing it. It's going to prove to pay dividends. Maybe not this coming season, but definitely in the near future. He was asked a lot about quarterback, or he talked a lot about quarterback without actually being able to talk about quarterback. And you had Miles Brennan was in the transfer portal, then decides to stay home. And then you got the transfer coming in from Arizona State as well. How's that going to play out? Well, not just for quarterback, but every position on the field. It's going to be about merit.
Here's what we told our group. As we build this roster, our job, my job, is to build competition at every position. If you don't like competition, this isn't the place for you. I came down here because I love competition. So it starts with me, and it's going to run through every position. If competition is not what you like, then there's another school for you. And so at every position, we're going to build it with competition. If you love to compete, LSU's the place for you.
Now, I know it's very, very easy to hear that soundbite and think he's talking just about quarterback, but you know where I'm going to take it. The spot that's weakest on the depth chart right now publicly is considered to be tight end, where you had the majority of your playing time last year came from a walk-on. Why did that happen that way? Why did it play out that way? Because he competed and he got the job. It's going to be every single position, and that's going to be a lot of fun to keep up with. Speaking of Brennan and Daniels at quarterback, how did this play out when Miles Brennan said he was coming back, and then you add a transfer? Let's hear from Brian Kelly on the conversation he had with Miles Brennan.
I think we started with just wanted to add more competition, and that nobody has the starting position. Go earn it. You've worked hard. He's changed his body. He's healthy. Remember when you threw, I think it was 4 touchdown passes against Missouri? You're an outstanding quarterback. Why can't it be you? And the same thing for Nuss, the same thing for Jaden. So I think it's just, the inner confidence that they all have in themselves that they can be the starter.
Why can't it be you? Interesting how he says he changed his body. Because, he was drawn and quartered against Missouri and then had the offseason injury last year as well. But I'm curious to know what that means, he changed his body. Because Miles Brennan's weakest point has been his legs. Jaden Daniels' strongest point is the fact that he can utilize, it's not his strongest point, but his biggest differentiating factor is his ability to use his legs. So, he changed his body. Curious. Brian Kelly was not the only head coach speaking yesterday. Matt McMahon was there as well, the new basketball coach. We are not going to have enough time to play any audio from that right now, but as the show wears on, if a segment or two frees up, we might be able to get to some of it. As of right now, though, we're just straight up out of time for this segment. I'm not even going to be able to talk about the governor's emergency declaration. We'll revisit that audio a little bit later. Right now, though, let's take a break. Let's check CBS News, local news, traffic, weather. Patty G joins us next. We'll talk a little business.
What emergency order?
He's declared a state of emergency in 4 parishes.
From the storms?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, those. We had audio for Matt.
Yeah, I didn't put it on the rundown. I didn't know if we were going to get to it or not.
You saw that video of that red Chevy in that tornado?
Mm-hmm. Tornado picked up the Chevy.
Got flipped on its side. And then flipped back on its wheels, and the driver drove off.
Oh, yeah, Texas.
Yeah.
That, honestly, is a perfect video to tie into the article about employee feelings towards their employer.
How so?
If you feel like you can't go to home after experiencing this and you have to get into the office,
yeah,
you might be feeling some employer resentment.
Yes.
Because that bit has now been turned into the video of all memes.
I don't.
CPAs during tax season.
Mm-hmm.
Still got to get to work.
This bill, we're going to have to talk about it at some point. It's the biggest chunk of busy work I've ever seen. This fraud prevention task force that's supposed to stop people from committing fraud in the wake of a storm. Bro, the whole nature of their fraud is based off of timing. And of course, what's the dick's name?
I feel like we're making a committee for a committee.
A bill to create a board entitled the Louisiana Named Storm Insurance Fraud Prevention Authority passes in House Insurance on a 7-5 vote. Bill author Alexander, this is what Palermo was just reading. Ed Larvadane says residents are tired of dealing with insurance fraud from hurricanes, and the bill creates a 19-member authority. A 19-member authority. Eric Hull with Real Reform Louisiana, who assisted with the creation of the bill, says the authority is modeled after the Louisiana Insurance Fraud Task Force that focuses on automobile theft and insurance fraud. Well, then why not just fold this into the same task force? You've already got a damn task force sitting right there.
Maybe they're too busy, Brian.
Oh, surprise, surprise. Jim Donnellan says the creation of the authority is repetitive. Imagine that. I didn't even know that. I didn't even read that far down the thing because I read the first 2 lines and I'm like, this is busy work. This is undue bureaucracy. The reason these people committing fraud get away with committing fraud is because they're not going to show up anywhere. They roll into town in a truck with a magnet on the side that says, Acme Contractors. And they'll knock on your door, and you're going to ask for a little bit less money than what the licensed contractors are going to ask for, and it's going to sound like a deal that's too good to be true, and Aunt Ethel is not going to Google them to see if they're licensed by the state. She's just going to hand over the money and never be heard from again. And there's nothing this task force can do in the wake of that to stop that from happening, because the time a next storm rolls around, Acme Contractors has now become Wile E. Coyote Contractors. Such garbage.
So how do you fix it?
Tell people to stop being gullible. Everything that sounds too... Well, first of all, you don't. There will always be fraud. The way to fix fraud is to dry up the demand. The way to fix fraud is to stop being gullible. Google your licensed contractor. If they don't show up, tell someone who is face-to-face a con artist, face-to-face, I'm sorry, I'm not seeing you on this list. You do not have a 225 in front of your number.
I mean, it's so easy to get a 225 number now.
Okay. That would just be one little added point.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you are not on the list of state licensed contractors. You can't show me your license. If you can't show me your printed license, you can hit the bricks.
Well, I think that can come in part with educating the public, right? So sending out flyers during storm season.
Right.
Talking about it more on airwaves.
Oh, no, I do. Once hurricane
Where
season
are you
gets here,
gonna
we do.
reach-
No.
Where are you going to reach like that demographic that's targeted?
Mhm.
Figure out where they're
Mhm.
watching their news
Yeah.
or getting their information.
Yeah.
You send them a little one-page pamphlet with a QR code on the back that says "Scan here to see the Louisiana Board licensed contractors list."
Right. No. I understand. But Aunt Ethel does not know QR codes.
Then give her a list.
And she's been on a fixed income for the last 5 years. And, oh, by the way, inflation is through the roof. So when Wile E. Coyote Contractors pulls up to her front door and the previous contractor says, you just give us $3,500 on the front end and we can get started, he says, give me $800 and I get started. You know what she's doing? She's giving him $800. Preferably cash, and never going to see him again.
Yep.
And that's what all this is. You don't stop that. By the way, good morning, Christy. I don't know if I got that in earlier. Such busy work. Do.
All I hear is today's going to be prime vest day. That's all I hear.
It's going to be a little warm
prime
for
vest weather.
By the end of the day, it'll be a little warm for a vest.
Right. You just take the vest off, though. You don't have to lug around a jacket.
No, you have to lug around a vest.
But it's so much lighter.
637 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. The eyes are gazing up at, we have WBRZ, our news partners at WBRZ on the monitor here in studio. Boy, Nakamoto done dug into one, man. Have you seen that story yet?
I have not seen the story with the exception of the headline that just came across.
What did the headline read?
The headline read, Top Cats employee still employed after testing positive for meth.
Yeah.
At least I think that's what I read.
Yeah. Not his first run-in either.
Oh,
It's
see,
dig in on this one. Nakamoto's got his teeth in on this one. It's going to get crazy.
I mean, at least doing the bus ride will be fun.
Also true. Patrick Grimion, host of the Patty G Show, joins us every Thursday to talk a little bit about business. Patty G, what's happening, man?
Good morning, Brian. Good morning. It's happening. It's good.
Vest
weather.
No, it's not. It's never vest weather. You can either wear a jacket or don't.
You can wear a vest.
You
got to keep the core warm, Brian.
No, the core is just fine. It's the extremities.
It's cold.
Marissa just had our forecast. What is the temperature right now?
Like 40-something, 50-something degrees outside. So it's not cold enough for a jacket because your arms aren't cold.
It's
You
48
just gotta
degrees.
warm the core, man.
No, we're not going down
Warm
this
from the
rabbit hole
inside
again.
out.
We're not going down this rabbit hole again. We got a lot to talk about. Gallup was recently out with a new survey. It was actually released Friday morning. It says 24% of employees said they believe their employer cares about their well-being. That's down from 49% at the height of the pandemic. Is this the biggest sign that we're back to normal yet?
Well, according to the polls, they were at 25% thought that their employers cared pre-pandemic.
Right.
So you dropped 1% since post-pandemic life. So I think we're worse than we started.
Okay, let's break this down because there's a lot that goes into this. The article that I found was on Axios, which, by the way, decent app.
Axios.
Yeah, good news app. Very good news app. Why it matters. The country is apparently getting back to normal. Since Gallup started asking this about this back in 2010, only about a quarter of employees typically believe well-being was something the boss truly cared about. During the COVID-19 crisis, when employers were regularly communicating plans and policies and health concerns, more workers got the sense that they actually mattered. Now that we're more back to normal, that's levelizing as well. And yes, 24% is about a quarter.
Right.
It's within the margin.
Yeah, it's within the margin for error. But I think it's kind of ironic how they phrase this article in a positive light. Just 24% think that their employees care, instead of saying 75% of workers feel their boss don't care.
Okay, but break that number down. What percentage of those workers believe that their boss is supposed to?
That's a good question.
I clock in, I do my job, I go home.
But you
pay me for that job. End of transaction.
I mean, if you look at it from a purely transactional standpoint, yes. But when you look at it from a holistic approach of this is your livelihood, this is your well-being, this is where you spend a majority of your day, I feel like I would want someone in charge of me to care about me a majority of my 24 hours being awake. Is that not something that you walk in the office concerned with?
Well, so, no. We're very, very lucky here.
Yeah.
Guarantee as a whole is fantastic. We have an unbelievable family atmosphere around here, and it's wonderful, and it motivates me every day, and I would never go back to working for a national or international company again. We're built different, and I love it. But we're not in the majority out there. The number of people who work for those monoliths, the number of people who work for a company that is too big to take that role on.
But are you ever really too big to take that role on? The way that it describes in the poll is not having the CEO be concerned with every single person's well-being, but your immediate manager.
Right, you're Michael Scott, yeah.
Right, that manager taking the time. I think they suggested weekly meetings, just something to check in with your employees from the management's level, where if you have 10 or 20 people that you're overseeing, you have the ability to make sure their well-being's taken care of. You have the ability to make sure that their voice is heard, just like you did during COVID. There's no reason to revert back to the old pre-COVID days of, well, it's just transactional. Let's get in, let's get out, let's do our job.
But where we're at right now, business-wise, doesn't that take up a lot more of middle management's time? Making sure everyone is making their numbers? Making sure that while inflation is affecting all of us right now, it's taking a bigger toll on every office as well? Yeah. Managing all that stuff falls under this. So being a nanny is going to fall to the wayside, isn't it? See how I sound heartless saying that out loud? I know how it sounds. I get it.
Yeah, but understand for the point of conversation, right? So I don't think it's necessarily being a nanny. A 5-minute check-in, is that really going to disrupt your entire day?
No.
I mean, let's say you work a typical 8-hour job, 5 minutes out of your day to check in with your employees, and let's say you've got 10 employees that you're overseeing. That's an hour of your day. Spend the other 7 hours effectively and efficiently managing the workflows to ensure you're meeting your numbers. But if you make sure your people are happy and cared about, they're going to put in more of an effort to make sure they're reaching their numbers without you having to be on the back of them saying, hey, have you reached your numbers?
There's another part of this that we're going to have to get into as well, and that is the nature of the employee. Working from home was good for a lot of people, but not good for management.
Yeah.
Working from home may have proven to show that a number of middle managers aren't even necessary.
Yeah. Yeah.
So middle management says we've all got to get back in the office so that I can oversee you. If I'm not overseeing you and you're still getting your job done, my viability in this role is nil.
I think that opens up an opportunity for the middle managers to find a better avenue where they can plug their skill set into. Maybe not necessarily making sure everyone's getting their job done, but start then looking at your processes, looking at your efficiencies, looking at some other cost-saving responsibilities that may not initially been within your job description, but because people are doing their work on their own from home, you now have the time to put in the efforts elsewhere. It's just a matter of a mindset. If you need that control and you want to make sure you're overseeing all your people, you are going to want them in the office. You are going to want that constant, hey, how you doing? What's your job going? Have you gotten your numbers yet? Have you met your sales metrics? You want that because that was originally your role. But now that is no longer a true necessity, if your company was successful remote, you got to find a different avenue to start your job.
Yeah. Yeah, you need to start showing ROI from your own salary, and it's not about corralling everybody. But that, again, means your manager doesn't have to care about your well-being. If the pandemic has shown, and there might be a good chunk of this is just people being cranky pants saying, I don't want to, I liked working in pajamas.
There are those. They got comfortable in their pajamas, comfortable working
and they're just
in their
having a little
bed.
tantrum about having to go back to the office, and that's possible that could be a bigger chunk than I'm giving it credit for. I don't like having to sit in traffic. I don't like not working in pajamas. Like I no matter what happens at the office, the fact that I have to be there, I'm going to be all footsed about it. So like that can factor into this as well. But when middle management has to change up their approach to show I'm showing cost saving measures here, I'm doing this there, I'm doing this there, everything about caring for my employees' well-being is falling to the wayside as well.
And that's where you need to find a balance. You can't spend all of your time on either or. You have to find that balance. And if they are working from home, having those Zoom calls, checking in on them, still making sure they're fine. Or if they're voicing their little tantrums, maybe that's where you're discussing their well-being. Okay, why don't you like driving to the office every day? Why do you like sitting in your pajamas? Some people may say, well, it's easier for me to go back and forth and handle my kids because the child care is, there's a problem there because they're closing them down. Maybe it's a bigger issue than just an initial temper tantrum being thrown of saying, I don't want to drive because I just don't want to sit in the car, or I don't want to get dressed and look presentable. Okay, well, why don't you? Then you have to start going a little deeper to get to their why behind their reasoning. Some people truly may just say, I don't feel like it. But others may have a deeper meaning. You don't know unless you open up that conversation and actually talk with them.
All right, we're going to pause it right there. We'll pick it back up on the back end. We got a break. We're going to check traffic. We're going to check your money now. He's Patrick Grimion, host of the Patty G Show. We talk business every Thursday. Couple of things I want to explore when we come back. And this is it the nature of people that when given the chance to whine about something, they will? I was going to use a different word, but I think the kids are in the car. We'll pick it up there next, right here on Talk 107.3 FM. If you give somebody the opportunity to bitch, they're going to bitch.
Oh, 100%.
Hey, buddy, how you doing today? Let me tell you everything that's wrong because I'm building a case for why I'm not doing my job. And honestly, what's the point of that charade unless you're actually going to make change?
None. We made changes for 2 years. And then we went right back.
When we started coming back into the office more, Flynn made it very clear. If you want to continue to work from home for a couple days out of the week, absolutely. But we are a family. We need to be together. Like it's about the togetherness. Not every workplace is going to have that because family means having family means having excuses. Stupid baseball. God, I'm going to be pissed about that for some time. It was a $2 bet. I don't know why I'm mad about losing $2. Because it's not just this $2 bet. It's every bet I've made on college baseball this year I've lost. Literally every one. I'm like 0 for 7, so I'm done.
Remind me not to ask you about betting advice.
NFL is good. College football is good. Made money throughout both those seasons. NBA, I'm still good. Not at an 80% clip anymore. I'm more down to a 70% clip. Okay. Okay.
Traveling around town also looking fine. No big backups or slowdowns. The Bruyette, quiet, under 6 minutes off Delta College. So early wouldn't anticipate any normal morning traffic, but one crash could just mess everything up. While we're monitoring that. And yes, we do have a slight delay in the ramp from 12 west to 10 east. You can see a line of cars there. But this is not out of the ordinary. Typically in this stretch, we kind of see a little extra volume.
See an accident? Report it at WPRC Traffic on Twitter. This report is brought to you by Shaw Bills, where you can get up to $70 with the purchase of 4 eligible BF Goodrich tires. Visit ShawBillsTire.com to learn more.
Michelangelo is at the River Center. Michelangelo, A Different View. The frescoes of the Sistine Chapel are on display starting next week. We're going to be giving away tickets right here on Talk 107.3 FM. Here comes your money now. Man, Michelangelo's been dead for years. Dang it, Bobby.
I didn't know he was in town.
Yeah. Michelangelo's here.
Man.
Yeah. Matt McMahon.
What do you think about our roads?
I'm sure he hates them.
Four
4.15%.
It's interesting you say, would it really kill you to hold a meeting? Because, I don't know. This is why, I'm a bad...
Not would it kill you to hold a meeting with everyone. Would it kill you to have a 5-minute chat with an employee?
Yeah, I hate that shit.
A check-in.
So
why do you hate it? Why do you hate it?
Because it always feels forced. It's never organic.
Okay.
It's always...
So how many of those have you had?
Do what?
Have you had many?
With my immediate supervisor, I have 1 1/4.
1 1/4?
And it's all business.
Mm-hmm.
But I talk with my boss up the chain, my ops manager, my general manager, or Chris, Gordy, Flynn. I see them every single day. It's just different around here.
And you have, passing conversations?
Yeah, just, hey, how'd Abby do a track over the weekend, that sort of thing.
But that's exactly what I'm talking about, having that level of interaction. Not, all right, Brian, I got you scheduled for 12:15 so we can talk about your feelings.
No, but that's how it's going to play in the corporate world.
And that's where you have to be really delicate and not have it play out that way. Because it will, by all means. If you tell your managers that you got to do it, that's how it's going to be. I got to do this.
Just 24% of workers think their employer cares about their well-being. Patrick Grimion, host of the Patty G Show, is our guest every single Thursday. We talk business. We really talk more business culture than business. Yeah. I mean, it's more about the culture within the workplace. Sometimes we'll get into numbers, but for the most part, it's more about what's shaping what's going on in the workplace as well.
I mean, that in and of itself applies to across the board.
No, it absolutely does. It absolutely does, because we're seeing major shifts in the workplace. We're seeing casual Friday is now casual every day. I mean, we're not all the way down to pajamas in the workplace, as folks could do when they were Zooming in, but there's all kinds of shift changes. Shift changes. There's flex schedules.
Good one.
Yeah, thank you. So you and I were talking about what can employers be doing that would actually make some sort of change in this equation here, that could actually run up the numbers. And you were saying something along the lines of weekly check-ins.
I mean, weekly, just periodic check-ins, not, outside of your annual evaluation, if you'll have them. Outside of a quarterly meeting, outside of an annual evaluation, more water cooler talk, for lack of a better term. Just
Okay.
that casual conversation drop in, like you were saying over the break. You know, your upper superiors say, "Oh, how did Abby do at the track meet this weekend?" Just casual conversations that make the employee feel heard and like they're understood outside of their specific task they're trying to get done at this exact moment.
Okay. The difficult part here, and I'm going to use your phrasing,
Yeah.
make the employee feel heard. That makes it sound like it's a task. That makes it sound like it's a burden. That makes it sound like it's forced and therefore not organic. Make the employee feel heard is different than truly hear the employee.
Yeah. It is.
Walking that balance is tough, and a lot of folks are just going to, or if they're faking it, it's worse.
Oh, 100%. You cannot fake your, I want to hear about you, learn more about you, and become a closer connection with you. If it's going to be fake, the employees are going to feel it, and it's going to change nothing. You're going to have no results come about it. But if you genuinely care about the well-being of your employees, it'll come across that way, and you really do have to care. If you don't care, then you're probably not the right person to be in that position to have those conversations with people. You got to find a manager that really cares about the employees outside of getting their A to B task done.
Tell you what I would like to see. I would like to see Gallup go back and do a separate poll. How many employers
Care about their
feel,
employees.
how do employers feel they care about their employees? Because I guarantee you what's going out is not what's being received.
It's a reciprocal relationship. I'm going to put in what you're going to put in.
Oh, there's another question. How many employers feel that the care kicks back up? Do your employees care about you as an employer?
Yeah. And then you're going to get caught in this little cat and mouse game, right? Well, I don't care because they don't care.
Right.
And that's going to be the response on both sides. Then as the employer, as the owner, it is your responsibility as the business manager, as the business leader, to lead from the top and show them that you do care. And over time, if it's organic and it's natural and you actually do, you'll start seeing that come back your way. But initially, they're going to be like, oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, it's great. Had a great weekend. See you tomorrow. Like, that's what you're going to get initially until you have to continuously put in that work and effort as the superior, as the manager, as the boss, and show them that you really, really do care.
You did it again, though. There's your phrasing. Putting in that work and effort.
It is work.
Is it, though? Caring about other people is work.
Not necessarily caring
See,
about
if
them.
it's not natural, if it's not organic, it's just not going to fly. I don't know that we ever get out of the doldrums of having more than a quarter of employees.
You don't think?
No, number one, the percentage of people who believe the workplace should be transactional. Those who clock in, do their job, and go home. Anybody who works on an hourly basis, I shouldn't say anybody, most who work on an hourly basis who are given their job description, and that job description, you check in boxes. This is what I do. If I'm working a register for an 8-hour shift, I'm working a register for an 8-hour shift. Do I care if my boss cares about what happens while I'm not here? No. It's not my passion. It's my job. And that's not me. I'm not
Right.
just quoting them. So I'm like, this is not my passion. This is just my job. I'm here to do a job and go home. And there's going to be a huge chunk of that. There's going to be a huge chunk of whiners.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's going to be 24% who believe that their employers do care about them. And there's going to be the Michael Scott scenarios as well, where you feel like your boss is making a shallow effort, a front, if you will.
So you think if given the two different situations before, the majority of the people, one with a transactional relationship and one with a genuine relationship, they pick the transactional for the workplace?
A lot of folks, yeah. It's going to depend on the job, but yeah, absolutely. You know what? Another part to ask about this, though, is the percentage of employees who believe their coworkers, not employers, coworkers care about them, because that's a different dynamic as well.
It's a whole different dynamic.
Because in a lot of offices, it's us against them when it comes to the frontline workers versus middle management. Do you have a team rallying around you? And then if the manager's job is to kind of position themselves like that, then they're still doing their job. Hey, we only got like 2 minutes left. Red Stick Socials pushed their hours back in announcing some renovations. Why is this big news? Because I feel like this is big news.
It is big news because have you seen the mock-ups of what they're doing?
Uh-huh.
It is something that is not common to hear. It's a totally different landscape that they're going after, and they're changing to essentially bring out a super positive vibe within that part of town. make it more inviting. A permanent stage means more outdoor acts, means more music, means more people wanting to come and be a part of it. Also setting themselves up for a longer-term success if something was to come again like we experienced during COVID and everybody has to go outside. They're already playing to that strength. But also showing that Baton Rouge can be a fun little town.
I mean, was that ever a question?
No, but now it's instilling it from the outs, from people looking in, trying to find the venues just on the map. They're going to look for something that looks cool and fresh and new.
That rooftop deck looks cool and fresh and new, I'll tell you that.
Exactly.
That's kind of my jam right there. It's a little bit further away from the stage. You're not up in it. I don't know. I'm getting old. What's coming up on the Patty G show this week?
Jenny Peters of Varsity Sports.
No kidding.
Yep.
Awesome.
We talked about some of the projects that she's involved with, including the Perkins Overpass renovation underneath.
Okay.
So
You want to talk about just an absolute staple for Baton
my
Rouge.
gosh.
Jenny is the absolute best. She is beyond the best.
truly an incredible person doing great things in the community.
Yeah. Yep. He is Patrick Grimion, host of the Patty G Show. If you're watching us on YouTube, stick around during the break. We'll continue the conversation during news, but we're just straight up out of time as far as the radio end is concerned. So let's get you to the CBS World News Roundup here on Talk 107.3 FM, the new flavor of Talk in Baton Rouge. Oh, I haven't even been in on YouTube yet this morning.
There's a lot.
There's a lot.
There's a lot.
Let's get caught up on comments then.
Mostly about me in a Speedo.
Why would you be in a Speedo? All right, good morning, Renee. Good morning, Eric. Good morning, Troy, Clinton, Debbie. Hey, everybody. Byron, what's happening? Galen, what's happening? I feel Kelly's comments were very measured. He's managing expectations. Yes, absolutely. And you know what? When you open up the conversation to allow someone to manage expectations, they're going to downplay it. Let's bring this back around to the topic that Patty G and I were just talking about. If an employer is reaching out to their employee to say, how are things going? Let's bring you back to Kim Mulkey's preseason press conference where she told us they weren't going to get a whole lot done this year. Don't be surprised if conference play, we have more losses than wins. And then, boom, they just rattled off one of the best seasons, regular seasons, that we've seen in a long, long time around here. But the opening of conversation allowed for the tempering of expectations. And how many bosses feel like the opening of conversation is going to be just a myriad of excuses for why the job isn't getting done? Brian Kelly did it yesterday. And he's paid a lot of money. Clint says the problem is that even the licensed general contractors screw over people. We got screwed by hours after the flood. But you have recourse for that. This is all the way back to the...
Yeah, the general contractors.
Debbie says, did you know the licensing board does nothing if you get ripped off by so-called legit contractors? Has to go criminal. Yeah, I know, but you have recourse when you have that when they're licensed. Patty Jean is aversion to certain body parts not needing to be covered. No doubt come summer. Okay, that's where you're going with that. Guess what? No employer really cares about employees over their own interests. Get over it. Keep your marketable skills up and a decent resume ready. You know, I don't agree with that. No, I don't agree with that. Like, the phrasing here is interesting, Galen. Over their own interest. What is their own interest? Well, their own interest is keeping their business open for sure, because that's in your interest as well as the employee. We had a coworker, just one of the best guys around. He passed away last year. James Gilmore was diagnosed with cancer, given 6 months to live 5 years ago. And the above and beyond that we saw around this place, from holding a benefit concert to help pay off some of his medical bills, to making changes to the job description within, to everybody from top to bottom rallying around him, to just the level of care and concern and the genuineness of it. It carries over. That showed a hell of a lot more than any weekly meeting. You know, I don't know that I can get on board with that. Maybe I just work in a weird place.
About, though. I'm not limiting it to a weekly meeting. That's the culture building that I'm talking about.
Yeah, you want to.
It's not. I'm not trying to rigidize it into a format.
Yeah,
I'm saying you just got to have a conversation with them.
You want to really, and it's not conversations, talk. You want to really do something. Like, let's say you have an employee who's diagnosed with breast cancer.
Yeah.
Show up at the Race for the Cure, and don't say a damn thing about it. Just show up. Show up, be supportive, and then maybe you'll find that you actually do care about them, and then it doesn't take effort.
That's all part of the cares about their well-being. it's easy to put have talks because that's a tangible task that people can do and start getting towards something, but that's merely the beginning.
Byron says employer concern with employees and the employee's attitude and effort is a positive correlation. If you don't give a damn, your boss will reciprocate. Hey, look, we're all grown-ups here. Mm-hmm. There should not be a situation where the boss is considered the parent and the employee is considered the child. It is reciprocal.
Yeah.
You can kick up as a grown. You're a grown-up. Be a grown-up.
Although I've seen plenty of grown-ups throw temper tantrums.
Clinton says, bingo, what is the point of bitching if nothing will change? After COVID was WFH.
Work from home.
Work from home. After COVID, work from home, we realized we don't need as many people to distribute the new TPS report cover sheets. Exactly. Exactly. But isn't that even better? Like if you have 8 employees working under one middle manager, and you find you can cut that middle manager's salary and distribute that salary directly back to those 8 employees and have them kick up to somebody even further up the line, damn it, get rid of that person. Everybody, if productivity did not drop off during COVID through work from home, then every middle manager should be scared.
They need to be proactively finding a reason for the employer to keep them on board.
Troy says, you think there are employee check-ins at Popeyes? I was thinking Walmart, but yeah.
What's the turnover rate there, though?
Exactly.
That's your substitution.
Doesn't matter what the turnover rate is, though. The same percentage is going to show up in the Gallup poll. So if your turnover rate is 75%, which probably is higher than that.
It's probably higher.
Then
all those people are going to say that's why they left.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ask people that have a low turnover rate, that have employees that stay there 5 to 10 years.
Well, this was the whole purpose of the business and industry luncheon from Rise LA. Mm-hmm. Was helping solve some of this.
Yeah. It's not a one-step, easy fix solution. It's a holistic approach that every company really needs to be taking a deep dive and studying.
Gotcha. 706 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Hour 2 coming your way right now. Thanks again to Patrick Grimion, host of the Patty G Show. If you're watching us on YouTube, you caught a little more conversation during the break right there. And I have just killed my... There it is. You caught a little more conversation during the break right there as we were talking about the percentage of workers that think their employer cares about their well-being. Got a busy hour for you this hour. In our next segment, Dan Bruyette, former Secretary of Energy on former President Trump's cabinet. He's got a new role now, and he is teaming up with the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry, and we are going to talk to him next. Also this hour, Crimestoppers. Lieutenant Don Capola will be by at 7:35. We'll see if we can't catch some bad guys. Right now, though. But no, not right now. I almost did it. 60 seconds from now, we will have top stories and trending. I got to tell you, ask you if you got lunch plans yet. Brouillette burgers, fries, and shakes are here for you. If you do not yet have your lunch plans, maybe swing by and grab yourself a burger. Maybe hit up the Wall of Dang. It's like a Hall of Fame, but the Wall of Dang. Both locations, Blue Bonnet at Highland, Segan just north of Industriplex. The Burger Hall, Hall of Dang, not Wall of Dang. I always read the sign and think it's a wall. Anyway, you got burgers on it like the Ranch Hand, the Turcali Club. What's a Turcali Club? Well, instead of burger, it's turkey meat. It's all natural Jenny O turkey, fresh avocado, applewood smoked bacon, lettuce, tomato, spicy ranch, and a non-GMO multi-grain bun. It's a little bit of a healthier option if you're going that route. Or, maybe you're not going that route and you're just full in on a double Diablo. With the Cholula hot sauce, with the jalapenos, with the pepper jack cheese. Oh, it's so good. And you pair that, you go spicy on the burger with sweet potato fries and dip them in honey. Both locations of Brouillette burgers, fries, and shakes are here for you. Blue Bonnet at Highland, Segan, just north of Industrialplex. Grab yourself some booyah for lunch today. Time for top stories and trending. Let's get it. This is a weird story. Thousands of people in Baton Rouge will now receive pandemic-related rental assistance. What? A waiting list has been growing after the parish ran out of the first batch of money. Quote, we've seen people from all walks of life, to be honest. This is something that impacted everyone, every gender, every race, every socioeconomic area that's there. Layoffs have happened in every industry, explained Courtney Scott with the mayor's office. Last March, the mayor's office opened up the Emergency Rental Assistance Program for people needing financial relief during the pandemic. About 8,000 people were helped. They ran into another, they ran out of money, and then they've picked up another batch, if you will. They stopped providing assistance to people even after they were approved because the money ran out. 5,000 people were left on the waiting list. Well, that can pick back up again as federal funding allows for it. Only a year into a brand new job, the trooper over investigations at Louisiana State Police, Major Jason Turner, announced his retirement. It comes as fallout grows over the Ronald Green investigation. During a legislative committee hearing at the state capitol Tuesday, former trooper Albert Paxton told committee members Turner told him to shut up as he repeatedly tried to seek the truth tied to the Green case. According to Paxton's investigative notes on the Green case, Turner wanted Paxton to change his report, but Paxton refused. The notes also indicate Turner was among those who met with State Police Investigator Scott Brown in May of 2019, trying to convince him that the officers involved in the Green case did nothing wrong. For State Police's part, they put out this statement. Major Turner has submitted his request for retirement, but dates are not finalized at this time. He has been employed with LSP since 1997. Thank you, good night. I added the thank you, good night. They didn't really say thank you, good night. That was mine. All right, Chris Nakamoto is on it. Capital Area Transit System is once again... okay, this is Nakamoto's piece at WBRZ, so bear in mind, I'm just reading here. The Capital Area Transit System is once again selectively enforcing its zero-tolerance drug policy. WBRZ's investigative unit uncovered a high-level administrator who tested positive for methamphetamine, and the bus system took no action against him. John Catrone is the comptroller at CATS, controls a roughly $30 million budget. According to documents obtained by WBRZ's investigative unit, he tested positive for illicit drugs. CATS has known since January about Catrone's failed drug test. This is not the first time the bus system turned a blind eye to their zero-tolerance policy. Back in 2019, WBRZ exposed that another administrator, Garrett Rose, was hired despite a failed drug test. WBRZ uncovered that CATS fired at least 10 other employees who failed drug tests around that exact same time. The selective enforcement of their drug policy caused WBRZ to track down CEO Bill DeVille. He acted like he had no idea that Rose was on drugs. Back in 2019, he gave a whole "Are you serious?" answer. 3 years later, Catrone fails his random drug test, testing positive for methamphetamine back in January. Follow-up test nearly 2 weeks later with a split sample to confirm the first test. CATS referred WBRZ to their lawyer. They had not heard back from said lawyer. To be clear, he's not driving a bus. He's just in charge of all the money. A virtual charter school is weeks away from placing unvaccinated employees on paid administrative leave before potentially letting them go as part of a COVID-19 vaccination mandate. University View Academy, an online K-12 school, informed employees in late February that its board of directors had approved a vaccination requirement which provides for a medical or religious exemption. In a statement to WBRZ, Shanna King, University View's interim superintendent, and board president Linda Holliday said the vaccination policy will help keep staff and students, especially those who are medically fragile, safe. Keep staff and students of an online school safe. Sure, absolutely. Large police presence gathered along Government Street due to an apparent standoff Wednesday afternoon. BRPD said the situation, which began around noon, stemmed from an attempted traffic stop According to the department, the driver did not pull over, refused to get out of his vehicle after coming to a stop near the intersection of Government and South Foster. Suspect was taken into custody around 12:30 p.m. at a nearby apartment complex. Police said the man was taken to a hospital after the incident. They've not released his name yet, though. Those are your top stories. Here's a look at what's trending this morning. Madeleine Albright passed away. First female U.S. Secretary of State, died of cancer, said her family. She was 85 years old. Albright was chosen by President Clinton as America's top diplomat back in 96, served in that capacity for the last 4 years of the Clinton administration. That's your top stories and trending. Quick break when we come back. Dan Bruyette rejoins the show next. Please be new. Okay. There, sharpen my pencil. The lower third on Good Morning America reads, gas price relief. Screw you. You can't have gas go up by $2 in a year, drop it by 7 cents, and call that relief. It's a net of a plus $1.93. All right. Troy's Wall of Dang would be a good name for a Mongolian barbecue joint. I'm not arguing with that. Seven 717 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Crimestoppers coming your way about 20 minutes from right now. Right now, though, I'm super excited to talk a little bit about business. Talk a little bit about Louisiana's economy overall, and a group that can really help out along the way. That group is Sempra Infrastructure. Joining us now is the president of Sempra Infrastructure, Dan Bruyette, Pankerville's own Dan Bruyette. Welcome back, sir. How you been? I don't have him there. All right, let's drop him back on hold, see if we can't get him there. Oh, wait, whoa. I think I heard him.
There we go.
There he is. Dan, how you been, man?
I've been great, Brian. Hey, thanks for having me. It's so good to be back home. Good to be talking to you. How are you?
Doing very, very well. Glad to have you back on. Glad to be talking about what's up now. I mean, go from Secretary of Energy over to Sempra Infrastructure. Actually, we'll get into all that in a little bit. You're just been added to the board over at LABI. Today's going to be your first meeting. What are we looking at for today? Is it just, a little introduction, little hazing? What are we looking at?
Well, hopefully not hazing.
Right.
Hopefully not that. But, yeah, some orientation. Going to be meeting with Steve Wagaspack and the rest of his team at LABI and look forward to meeting some of the other board members as well. And we're going to get a little bit of orientation as to what's happening in the legislature, I'm sure, in other matters. But I'm really excited to join this organization. I'm really excited to be back home. I think there's a lot going on here in Louisiana that is going to benefit not only Louisiana, but the nation itself.
You know, I have Stephen on the show basically every week, and I never talk about from a recruitment standpoint from LABI. But since I've got someone on who's just getting on board, what drew you towards LAB? What made you want to be a part of this organization?
Well, when we think about companies like ours, Semper Infrastructure is based in Houston, Texas. We're the majority owner of Cameron LNG out in the Cameron Parish area around Lake Charles. You would think of this company, you would think of these organizations as solely focused on energy and energy production, and we are. We build infrastructure. That's what we do in this company. But it is a company. It is a business. So there are other factors that we must consider. You know, you look at tax rates, you look at labor law, you look at all of the things that it takes to run a business. And what LABI does so well is cover all of that territory, not just the oil and gas industry, not just the focus on energy itself, but everything it takes to run a business. So that's why I think it's a very important organization for me to be a part of, for my company to be a part of.
Okay, we're talking energy, and you've used the word energy a number of times. You have yet to use the word oil. Is that intentional? No, is that intentional?
No, it's not. Oil and gas are going to be with us for a long time, Brian.
Okay.
And it's not a dirty word in my industry. It's actually something that every single person in the world depends upon, not only to get to work in the morning, not only for the refinement of fuels like diesel and gas and everything else, but oil makes up your clothes, it makes up your iPhone, it's part of everything that you actually own today. So, no, that's not the business that I am in with Semper Infrastructure. We don't do oil. We do natural gas. But, it's a very important part of our energy portfolio.
Well, then let's talk natural gas. What is the role of natural gas in Louisiana? I know this sounds like such a basic question. What is the role of natural gas in Louisiana's economy?
Well, it's critical, obviously. I mean, we are one of the nation's largest producers of natural gas. And, the folks who use that gas for their home heating or, other purposes that are residential in nature, it's very, very important, obviously, for those reasons. But there's so many other things that natural gas does. It displaces, in many cases, some very carbon-intense fuels around the world. I mean, we still have countries around the world that burn wood literally in their homes to cook. Now, if you're living off the grid and that's something you want to do, that's fine. But many people do this around the world simply because they have no alternative. They have no choice. And when natural gas is available, they tend to migrate to that fuel source. And the reason they do that, Brian, is for a number of different reasons. I mean, if you look back at the history of energy, you look back at the history of the world, we've always transitioned from fuel sources that are less energy dense to fuel sources that are more energy dense. So, for instance, we've gone from wood to coal to oil to gas to nuclear power. That's been the transition in the history of energy all throughout the world. And you think about that. Why would you do that? Well, if it's more dense, it's typically you use less, it's cheaper. And that's one of the reasons why natural gas is so popular in the marketplace today, because it's very dense. You can do a lot of things with it. And in many cases, it's cheaper than the alternative.
What's Sempra's role there? Or I guess more specifically, Cameron LNG's role? How do y'all play a role in this?
Well, we export it. We get that gas from the United States and we put it onto the open ocean, and it's used around the world. So, for instance, if you follow the news, and everybody seems to be focused on Ukraine and Russia right at the moment, you'll see the importance of natural gas to the Europeans. The Europeans, when I was Secretary of Energy, the President sent me over there many, many times to suggest to them that they were becoming too dependent upon Russian gas. And we see the result of that today. In fact, Germany perhaps was too dependent upon Russian gas. And when you lose that energy source, it becomes very scarce, obviously, and very expensive. But more importantly, when you lose the energy source, you lose electricity. So much of the natural gas in the world today is used for the generation of electricity. So the lights will go off in parts of the world and the heat will not come on in parts of the world if Louisiana doesn't produce natural gas. And importantly, for companies like Semper Infrastructure, we don't build the infrastructure or the export facilities that are needed to get that gas to Europe and to Asia.
We're talking with the president of Sempra Infrastructure, Dan Bruyette, former U.S. Secretary of Energy. Dan, I think that gets overlooked in the conversation when we get caught up in talking about LNG. When we get caught up in talking about anything in the energy sector, we look at things through the lens of what's going on here in America and not the domino falls from around the rest of the world. How intertwined are we here?
Oh, very intertwined. Very much so. I mean, these markets are fluid. They're liquid, I should say. They, this is a commodity that's traded all around the world. So these economies are very much intertwined and very interdependent upon each other. Now, when you think about something like natural gas, you also have to think about what these countries are doing with it. We talked about earlier, the use for heat, the use for the electricity generation. But the natural gas is also the feedstock for many of the plastics and the polymers that we are using to develop things like windmills or your iPhone, as I mentioned earlier, or many components in your car. Sometimes the entire car can be made out of plastic that are derivatives of products that we get from natural gas. And those are the things that I think sometimes, are not really well known, within the public.
Because of that level of being intertwined, there's no way to ask this question without it sounding completely crass. Is it possible that the war in Ukraine could be good for Louisiana jobs?
Yeah.
Yeah, you see how bad it sounds. I hate asking it.
Yeah, I know. It's look, the events in Europe right now, especially, obviously with Ukraine and Russia, are just catastrophic, and they're horrible. And, we as Americans should do everything we can, in my opinion, to ensure that Russia doesn't become what it used to be, the USSR. When I was growing up, I served in the Army in Germany. We stood on the borders and protected Europe and NATO countries from the Soviets and communism generally. We can't return to those days, in my opinion. But, the bottom line is that we also feel an obligation here in Louisiana, Texas, other parts of the country that produce natural gas and energy generally, to be of assistance to Europeans. So in that sense, we have to step up to the plate. We have to produce more. We have to be allowed to develop the pipelines that are necessary to get that product to the Gulf, get that product to the oceans. We have to be allowed to develop the export facilities that are necessary, the liquefaction facilities that are necessary to turn this gas into a liquid and get it over there as quickly as we possibly can. And if that results in more jobs here in Louisiana, fantastic. But I think, the bottom line is that folks are probably going to look at this simply on a more patriotic level and say, we're going to do everything we can to help these people, because that's what Louisiana does. It does it for, not only our neighbors right down the bayou, but, we do it for every other state in the country.
It's one small corner of a very much larger overall picture. But it's one that will affect us directly. Can I get you to crystal ball it? How do you see this playing out?
Well, it's very difficult to predict, as you might imagine. It appears that Mr. Putin has a bit of a problem in Ukraine. If he gets slowed down even further, I think, his own political situation is going to become at risk back at home. And we'll have to see how that plays out. It's very difficult to know exactly what's going to happen. But I tell you, when you look at the will of the Ukrainian people, you can't help, I think, but be impressed and it just truly impressed by the amount of and the fierceness with which they have they've avoided or pushed back on the Russian troops. It's amazing.
Dan Bruyette's our guest. He's the president of Sempra Infrastructure, former U.S. Secretary of Energy. Dan, let's go from around the globe to back home a little bit. We are in the midst of the legislative session. LABI is the state's Chamber of Commerce, which means there is a lobbying aspect to that. What is your role? What are your goals when it comes to this legislative session?
Well, I'm looking forward to this morning and getting an orientation and finding out what the legislature is engaged with. But my goal is really to learn today, to find out what is it that is on the agenda of the legislature, what's on the agenda of the governor, what's on the agenda of LABI, and learn where I might be able to fit in and potentially help. What's important to me, though, is to look at the entire economic environment here in Louisiana and to ensure that it stays robust, that we don't impose rules, we don't impose regulations, we don't impose laws that would inhibit economic growth, either through, you name it, higher tax rates on certain products or whatnot. I don't have specific examples for you, but that's really my goal, is to ensure that the Louisiana economy remains robust as it has been in the past, and that we're able to create jobs here. We at Sempra, we have partners, we're the majority owner of Cameron LNG. We love doing business here in Louisiana. The labor force here is outstanding and, relative to other parts of the country. So we're very excited to be here. We just want to make sure that we maintain that robust economic environment.
He is Dan Bruyette, the president of Sempra Infrastructure. Welcome aboard at LABI, man. You're going to have a great day. Look, hey, you're going to have to deal with Steven a lot, though. I mean, was that not a hindrance on the front end?
It can be a challenge at times, but we love him.
He's a good dude. Dan, I appreciate the time this morning, man. Welcome aboard.
Hey, Brian, thank you for having me.
Absolutely, always. We're not done talking about the legislative session, though. Coming up next hour, State Representative Jack McFarland is set to join us as well. Interesting take by Dan Bruyette right there, especially when it comes to the war in Ukraine. And like I said, I feel heartless even asking the question. But it's going to be one of the side effects. It's going to be one of the repercussions, is as more and more of Europe breaks away from Russian oil and gas, specifically Russian oil and gas, it's going to open up the market for that to happen, or for them to get that from somewhere else. Their level of demand is not going to drop. Where that supply comes from, that's where you can make a change. Now, his point about overall patriotism ruling the day, not lost on me. But Louisiana jobs are American jobs. Louisiana resources are American resources. So, as we are just one small corner of a bigger picture, we are still in that picture. More than anything, excited to have Dan back on the show. I mean, it's been since he was the Secretary of Energy, and that's been more than a year. So glad to have him back on. Glad to see he's going to be around a good bit working with LABI. If you did not know, we do talk to Stephen Wagerspack from LABI every single Monday at 7:35. Gives us a better picture of how business is being handled throughout the state right now. They are essentially the state's Chamber of Commerce, and we get great insight from Stephen every single Monday. So good to talk to one of his board members as well. We got to take a quick break. We're going to check news. Start off nationally with CBS, probably the latest from Ukraine. Locally after that, then traffic, then weather, then Lieutenant Don Coppola is up next.
Thank you again, sir.
Sorry about that. You texted right in the middle.
I need to give a Gordy
Bruh,
access.
you know,
It's only been, 3 years?
here's the thing, is if we get you a key card, you know Franz is just going to bitch and bitch and bitch that he doesn't have one. That's a good point. That's a good point. Bro, I got into
I
a...
can't help y'all like me better than Franz.
No, you can't help that at all. Kill the mics for a second. You know what? You want to talk a little bit about when's the Equalizer? I saw the Equalizer's back.
What's going on now?
Okay.
We can talk about that.
Let's talk about the Equalizer.
But I have some people on the Facebook page, LSU, the Sheriff's Office, BRPD, and Walker PD are looking for people.
Okay.
So, we can send people to the Facebook.
We'll hit those up.
2 little warrants. I'm just glad to be here today. But I had to be at VLA last week for like 8 o'clock because 2 guys were talking about the Equalizer. So I'm just like, well, let me just call in here. That way I can be there. Kind of and need to be in 2 places at one time.
Yeah.
So that was the reason I called in this last week.
VLA's all the way across town. It's over there by Complete Collision Center.
Yeah, right there across from Perkins Road.
It's like the worst spot that, like, I don't know how, with that intersection of Perkins and Bluebonnet,
It's tough.
like that spot right there, the side where Complete Collision Center's at, it's toughest to get into.
Yeah, it is. The Equalizer filled up quick. 2 hours it was filled. So they're looking to do another one sometime in May and August.
Okay. And that one will fill up too.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Okay, so she's been good.
Yeah.
She's sweet.
Honestly,
sweet lady.
she sounds a little tired. There's some. I don't want to kill her, Mike. We can talk later.
Okay, we'll talk after.
I saw a story the other day about a Crimestoppers tip that led to an arrest, but the judge threw out the case. Can't remember which one it was.
And you know what? That caller's still going to get paid.
Okay.
Caller
Leads
was
to an
still
arrest,
get
not a
paid.
conviction.
Right. So we pay upon arrest except homicides. Homicides we pay upon indictment. So once they're indicted,
Yeah.
okay, on because of the fact it's a much more serious, and the payout is a little more, or it's a lot more on those.
Yeah.
But upon indictments on homicides, anything else, attempts, robberies, burglaries, it's upon arrest. And even these people we have looking to identify, somebody identifies them, they get paid. Somebody that calls on their whereabouts, they get paid. So,
Yeah.
if that helps.
If you have information that you think would help solve a crime, call 344-STOP.
All it takes is a phone and an open mind. No one will know.
Crimestoppers on Talk 107.3 FM.
Yes, it is time for Crime Stoppers. Time to welcome back to the studio Lieutenant Don Capola. What's happening, man?
Hey, good morning, Brian. I'm glad to be back in studio.
Yeah, you were everywhere last week.
I was everywhere. It was a busy week.
It was.
But everything was came together. And again, I'm glad to be back in studio with you.
We got a lot to talk about today. A couple bad guys to catch, to be sure, but there's a lot more ground to cover as well. First and foremost, stepping away from Crimestoppers, but over to your role with BRPD.
Yes.
The Equalizer's back.
Oh yes, the Equalizer is back, and it's bigger and better than ever. This is a class for those who don't know. The Equalizer is a woman's self-defense class put on by BRPD officers. It's a free class. Anyone 13 or older is encouraged to come. Only ladies, and they go over techniques from A to Z. What happens if you're in this situation? What do you do? More importantly, how not to be put in a situation. But if you are, techniques to get you out and separate from that attacker.
13 and up.
13
I
and up.
never thought about it
13
in these
and up.
terms before, but I have a daughter who's a freshman. I bet this would be. I've always thought about, it'd be good for my wife. Never thought good for my daughter as well. But
and
there it is.
It could be, bring the wife and the daughter. And
Yeah.
These classes fill up so fast. Within a couple hours, they're full.
Yeah.
they're not.
Well,
gonna turn
especially when it was on
anybody away.
hiatus for so long.
Yes, and to the point that our training director, Sergeant T.J. Morris, went to his higher ups, and we're looking to schedule another class, actually two, sometime in May and sometime in August.
Okay.
So if you didn't get the chance to attend this one, May and August, we're going to put something out. It's 4 classes to become certified. And then the good thing is you have ladies who have gone to previous classes are allowed to come back if they want to get a refresher
Okay.
in a certain particular technique.
Okay. Very cool stuff.
So it's really good. It's really good. And of course, BRPD, we also have our concealed carry class. We do once a month as well. So be on the lookout. Go to our Facebook page and be on the lookout for those dates as well if you have an interest in the concealed carry class. We do offer that.
Okay. All right. Yeah. And it's just everything's starting to come back. Everything's back now in
Everything
terms of
was down with COVID.
yeah.
And so we wanted to make sure that everyone's safety as far as health is first and foremost. But now that everything's coming back, we're getting these programs ramped back up. You see a lot of more community events. Our community services division doing a great job out there with these walks, community walks, getting out in the neighborhoods, reminding people that we are here, reminding people that Crimestoppers is where you need to call if you have information. Remain anonymous, eligible for a cash reward. So it's good to see that we're getting back to some type of normalcy.
Yes, and along with that will come. Oh well, I'm sure your banquet's got to be coming up soon, huh?
The banquet, it was supposed to be in April because of that's such a long planning process. Everyone involved does a great job with that. The last date I heard is going to be more towards the end of the year, possibly October-ish.
Okay.
Give or take. I'm gonna have to get with our executive director.
Well, availability right now is so scarce because everybody else put everything off as well.
Right.
So
you're dealing with that, but it's going to work out, and the banquet is such a good event to honor those law enforcement officers who go above and beyond. And working with Crimestoppers, and it's really a great event to honor those.
It really is. It's one of the events that I've missed with COVID. Since everything's been postponed because of COVID. We're going to get to some bad guys in just a second. I need a point of information if I can. There was a story in the news earlier this week, and I don't remember the specifics about it. But a guy was arrested because of a Crimestoppers tip. The judge eventually threw out his case. From a Crimestoppers perspective, from the point of if I'm the guy that called 344 stop, that he was obviously arrested, do I still get paid?
You still get paid. And
to be clear, I'm not the guy who called.
No. And we don't want to know who that is because, of course, to remind your listeners, Crimestoppers is anonymous. So in this case, we pay upon arrest. We pay if we're looking to identify individuals, and someone calls in and says, "Hey, that is the person that did whatever crime." That tipster gets paid on the identification of that individual. If the same tipster or someone else says, "Hey, here are the whereabouts of that individual that did that specific crime," they get paid as well. So, getting back to your question, yes, that tipster who gave the information that led to that arrest will still get paid because they did what they were supposed to do. They did the right thing by picking up the phone, going to our P3 Tips app, contacting us with that information, which led to that arrest. And that's beyond their control what the judge does. So, yes, Crimestoppers pays upon identification, upon arrest. Unless it's a homicide, we pay upon indictment on homicide cases.
Okay. All right. Yeah, 344-STOP is the phone number. 344-STOP is the phone number if you have information about a crime. And, of course, the P3 app is available as well.
And we pay once a month, Brian. And if for some reason that tipster does not pick up that money during that month, their money is still good for the next month. So
really? Okay.
It never goes away.
Okay. Let's catch some bad guys. Who we got? Where do you want to start? Walker or
let's,
more? Okay.
Well, let's start with our Facebook thread first. We talk about bad guys and who we're looking for. But I want to invite the listeners to check out the Crimestoppers Facebook page. We're attempting to identify an individual. LSU Police is looking for an individual regarding in connected with burglary investigations that occurred on LSU's campus on March 2nd. His picture is on our page. The East Baton Rouge Sheriff's Office is looking for some individuals, or an individual who is wanted in connection with a bank robbery on Jones Creek. That photograph is up. Baton Rouge Police Department is looking to identify someone who is believed to be connected in multiple burglaries within the city limits of Baton Rouge. Great picture of him. And Walker Police Department is looking to identify an individual that is believed to be connected in a business robbery that occurred March 13th of this year. So again, check out those photographs. If you can identify one or identify all, pick up the phone, go to our app, get us that information that we can get to investigators, and if that information does pan out, you're getting paid.
Yeah, this one that dates back to, it's March 2nd, so it's still this month, but detectives believe the individual was connected to a burglary investigation that occurred on LSU's campus back on March 2nd. LSU PD is looking for this guy. I mean, remarkably clear picture. I would be hard-pressed to think that if you took a look at the photo on Crimestoppers' Facebook page, Greater Baton Rouge Crimestoppers Facebook page, you'd have a pretty good idea. If you knew the person, you'd have a pretty good idea. Not sure why he's wearing an umpire's chest protector, but in the picture, but outside of that, it's a good shot of him. It's very clear.
Yeah, and maybe he just came back from a baseball game.
He might have. Maybe he's an umpire.
That
would explain the really thick glasses. Hey-o!
The picture is good, and along with BRPDs and walkers. And, scroll through, go to our website, www.crimestoppersbr.com. Check out our wanted section, and pick up the phone and get us that information.
The bank robbery suspect off of Jones Creek. Okay, maybe this is just like a layperson's takeaway, but is Jones Creek, I mean, if there's a bank robbery in Baton Rouge, this is East Baton Rouge Sheriff outside of BRPD's jurisdiction, but if there's a bank robbery in Baton Rouge, does that happen more often on Jones Creek?
You
Anecdotally.
Like you hear Jones Creek,
right?
More and more.
No idea why.
But I don't know. That's a good question. But regardless, they were able to get some good photographs.
Yeah, absolutely. Not so much of this guy's
page.
face, because he was properly masked, as you're supposed to with COVID.
But somebody knows who this guy is.
Yeah.
And maybe he spoke of his plans, or prior to or even after what he did, and somebody has information, and we just need that call.
Yeah, not so much of his face, but he's wearing a shirt that can easily identify him. That's a very, it looks like a highlighter of a shirt.
Highlighter of a shirt, maybe his posture. Somebody knows this individual.
Well, much better pictures of this one from Walker, which I believe you've got something on as well.
Sir, our warrants?
Yes.
Yeah, so Baton Rouge Police is looking for Kevin Collins. Kevin Collins on the charge of stalking and violation of protective order. It's believed that Collins had confronted a female acquaintance, continued to call repeatedly, just wouldn't leave this individual alone. She's sitting in her vehicle. He approaches her, notices that she just left the hair salon and had a new hairdo. Gets upset, messes up her hairdo, states to her, "Is this what you spend your money on?" And then as she picks up the phone to call Baton Rouge Police, he of course leaves. While officers are still on scene, he continues to call repeatedly. Time after time, just continue to harass and just won't leave this individual alone. And again, time and time again, you hear of these cases. You look at it as far as the domestic violence, and it could lead to so much worse situations, just simply starting by this.
Well, this is the canary in the coal mine here. This is the situation where we want to see action before it gets to be something that's much, much
100%.
worse. Because how many times have you heard the story of police were called out, everybody, cooler heads prevailed for the moment, but the second police left, something bad happened. Like it just these are the situations that are the precursors to those situations.
Yes. And not even after police left. While police are there, he's still calling over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
So anyone with information on the whereabouts of Kevin Collins, he is wanted by Baton Rouge Police for stalking and violation of protective order.
Mm-hmm. Who else we got?
Another one we have is Jerome Matthews, also wanted by Baton Rouge Police on a charge of attempted second-degree battery and illegal use of a weapon. It's believed that Matthews was in a confrontation with the victim. Verbal turned physical. It's believed Matthews struck the victim with a firearm that he had in hand. As the victim falls, Matthews stands over him and fires a shot into his leg. Victim was taken to a hospital. Luckily, at the time this incident occurred, his injuries were not life-threatening, so he will recover. But Jerome Matthews wanted by Baton Rouge Police detectives for aggravated second-degree battery and illegal use of a weapon.
If you have information on either of these two, 344-STOP is the phone number. 344-STOP is the phone number. What am I seeing here? Jerome Matthews, 5'7", 170?
5'7", 170, yeah.
That's why he's swinging the pistol and not just swinging.
Well, and you could be right.
344-STOP. Of course, download the P3 app. It's always, I thought I was going to get you on that one. It's always anonymous. You know how they do it, Crimestoppers. Actually, you know what we're due up for in the very near future? We need to walk through the payout process.
Yes,
not going to have time for it right now. We got less than 30 seconds to go. But let's plan on doing that in the very near future because it's a fascinating process and it is a foolproof process and it is the steps and links that Crimestoppers goes to guarantee your anonymity are worth noting on a regular basis. In the meanwhile, he's Lieutenant Don Coppola. We always appreciate it.
Have a great day.
You do the same. Let's take a quick break. When we come back from this break, we'll step outside of East Baton Rouge Parish. It's a segment we call The Outside In. It's next. Yeah, just hit the spots.
Outstanding.
Jerome, 5'7", tiny little Jerome. Uh-oh.
Yeah, I'm interested when you learn more of the sheriff's office case.
Yeah, I don't like breaking news because I have to do so many different stories in a day that I can't put my full attention on something. And when you're breaking news, I'm big on having it right, unless it's somebody else's, then I'll just run with it, and it's not on me if it was wrong.
Well, and I wish others thought the same way, but they don't.
Yeah, I know, and that's. If there were a time where I could dedicate all of my time to one story, I would totally be about that.
Yeah.
But it just, I don't know. I'm in 100 places at once. But yeah, if I find out more,
man. And listen, talk to the Mrs. and the daughter.
Yeah.
About that class, it's and you know they recommend if you have a friend or family member, and this is why. So it's a progression. They start off, you're standing and you're doing arm techniques. Well, as the class goes on, you may be bear hugging somebody from behind. You may be somebody laying on their back and you're straddling on top of this person. So if you know your partner, you're much more going to do the techniques versus a stranger who you don't know that you're straddling on top of, or they're straddling you,
right,
or they're grabbing you, to get the full effect of the technique. So get with them and see. Let me know, and I'll make sure they have a spot.
Okay, appreciate it.
Always good to see you.
Likewise,
sir. Thank you so much. We're gonna get with Gordy about getting that access card.
I'll work on it, Don.
We're not worried about Franz.
Huh?
We're not worried about.
I mean, you know.
Tell him he can borrow mine sometime.
He's on a vision quest to Arizona. The shit is that?
You don't need a card. That's fine.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Hey, he made a choice, Arizona, or 107.3.
You know.
I'm 107.3, whatever.
Unless you're VLA. Thank That was fun. Arkansas on the points, baby. I mean, I like Gonzaga to go all the way to the championship, but I got to ride with, like, they're not, man. $7:55, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Thanks again to Lieutenant Don Capola for stopping by for Crimestoppers. 344-STOP. 344-STOP is the phone number. I'll tell you another phone number you might need is 768-9898. 768-9898 is the phone number for Complete Collision Center. They've got two locations. One's on Plank Road up in Zachary. The other is on Perkins, just east of Bluebonnet. The folks over at Complete Collision Center, they do things a little bit differently than a lot of the body shops around here. A lot of the collision repair centers around here. Complete Collision Center puts a premium on education, continuing education, training, certification, knowing the latest techniques to find hidden damage, knowing the difference between repair and replace, knowing how to get your family back on the road safely. And don't take their word for it. They're certified by more than a dozen major car manufacturers. The people that make the cars say Complete Collision Center knows what the heck they're doing when it comes to fixing your car. 768-9898. If you get into an accident, you're deciding where your car is going, not your insurance company. You are. Team up with the people that have the certifications, have the know-how, have the continuing education and training. 768-9898 or CompleteCollision.com. Time for us to step outside of East Baton Rouge Parish. Time for the outside in. Let's roll. We're going to start off in New Orleans. The tornado that ripped through Araby, so I guess technically we're starting off at St. Bernard Parish. The tornado that ripped through Araby, killing at least one person, has been classified as an EF3 by the National Weather Service. Officials in St. Bernard Parish said one victim, identified as 25-year-old Connor Lambert, was killed when the tornado hit. Governor John Bell Edwards did declare a state of emergency in 4 parishes, St. Bernard, Orleans, Jefferson, and St. Tammany, in order to free up resources to aid the affected areas. An F-16 fighter jet crashed in Beauregard Parish sometime yesterday morning. State police told KPLC the pilot was able to eject from the aircraft and is believed to be okay. No other details about this incident were released yet. Back to New Orleans. One of the 4 teenagers accused in a carjacking that left a 73-year-old woman dead was previously arrested for similar crimes, but was never formally charged. WWL-TV reports 17-year-old John Honore, one of the suspects now charged with second-degree murder in the death of Linda Fricky. Fricky was attacked in Mid-City, New Orleans on Monday afternoon. She was pulled out of her vehicle, dragged behind it after her arm got stuck. Police say she was dragged for a significant distance before, and this is where it gets gross, her limb detached from her body. Arm ripped off. 20 minutes for EMS to get to her. A day later, family members turned in the 4 teenagers after NOPD released surveillance images of the culprits. 2 of the suspects are 15, another is 16. Honore is the oldest of the group. Had a prior arrest for aggravated burglary stemming from another carjacking when he was 15. You hear Chief Murphy Paul on this station talk about how they're tired of arresting the same people over and over and over again. Same thing happening in New Orleans. Unreal. Arm ripped off and then dies. Closing out in Tangipahoa Parish, a 26-year-old Albany woman was killed in a head-on collision in Hammond early Wednesday. Crash took place around 1:10 a.m. at the intersection of East Thomas and North Chestnut, according to the Hammond PD. Officers found Brittany Fayard was driving a 2005 Ford Mustang in the wrong direction when she collided with a Ford Explorer. Fayard died in the crash. The other driver was taken to North Oaks Medical Center with moderate injuries. That is the outside in. We've got to get you to CBS News. Hour 3 is coming your way next. Arm ripped off. Brutal. NOPD has arrested that guy before, repeatedly. Repeatedly arrested that guy. Why can't police do their job? That's why we're not safe. You know what? He's arrested before for the same damn crime. Not armed ripped off crime. Carjacking. I'm a little hot this morning. I need to chill. No. I mean, just like, yeah. It's probably good for the show. Being it's not intentional bellicosity. Nah, I don't know. Last segment, sure. No. Bro! Knock it off. There's nobody on here that I want. What's good, YouTube? What am I missing? You having fun? Right now, I'm in a state of mind. Hey, Naquilla Stillwad's in the house. What's happening, dude? Did you know it's illegal to wear body armor in a school in Louisiana? Why? Was that a 5-7 joke? I'm offended. It was so okay. Backstory there, Naquillis, is that every time Don is on and we talk about catching bad guys, I try to slip in something that's remarkably inappropriate for the segment, like very, very offensive, and that was the best I had today. So I find it difficult to make jokes about homicide or domestic violence. So where I have an in, I'll take my in. Like, for example, the guy who was wanted for a burglary on LSU's campus. Why is he wearing an umpire's chest protector? I don't know. Okay. Buckets. Need a random poll question for today. I got one. Is Careless Whisper the perfect song? Think about it before you answer.
I mean, do I need to think that hard about it?
You shouldn't have to because it's an easy answer.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
easy. Yeah, I don't
It's
even know
the
why you
perfect
preface by
song.
think hard about it.
It's
first.
well
Like,
because it's the 80s and it's George Michael and it's cheesy, but it's also the perfect song.
no, I mean maybe it's different because my generation, like, it's kind of a meme,
It is a meme.
but like, not because it's bad or corny. It's like it's so on the nose, like meant only for those situations, and it's perfect at it.
All right, let us know, YouTube.
I
Is
think it's-
Careless Whisper the perfect song?
I think it's perfect for what it's trying to be.
.806 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP, hour 3 of Mornings with Brian Haldane coming your way right now. Busy hour this hour. State Representative Jack McFarland going to join us in our next segment. Justin Hill from the Baton Rouge Fire Department at 8:40. Why are we talking with Baton Rouge Fire Department this morning? Because they sent a crew down to St. Bernard Parish night before last to respond to search and rescue and recovery efforts in the wake of the tornadoes that hit down there. One in Araby, one in Gretna, another one in Slidell. So we'll get the details. The monetary damage that's been accumulating continues to grow. The death toll remains at 1. That's a good thing. You make it through a whole other day without finding more yet. We'll talk with Justin and Baton Rouge Fire Department coming up at 8:40. Got to get you to this day in history in just a second. Tomorrow's my weigh-in over at Go Slim. I look forward to this most weeks. I shouldn't say every week. Most weeks I look forward to getting over there and seeing Vicki and her team over at Go Slim Nutrition. Listen, summer is on the way. Summer's kind of that benchmark for folks to lose weight. You get in the gym for your New Year's resolution. You hit the ground running for your New Year's resolution to make healthier choices. Go Slim Nutrition is the healthier choice. Get yourself on a path to a healthier you. Lower your blood pressure. Lower your risk of heart disease. Look better when you hit the beach this summer. All of these things are attainable through the same methods. I lost 60 pounds last year. You could be on that path as well. And oh, by the way, dropping 20 pounds before the first day of summer is a very attainable goal right now. Vicki and her team have jumpstart plans available for you right now. Get up in it. You could be on the path already. Look, losing 2 pounds a week, you can get there. And with Go Slim, it's all about the accountability. It's all about the weekly weigh-in. It's all about the counseling. It's all about talking about what you're doing right and how to capitalize on it. And oh, by the way, it's all about making sure it works within your lifestyle. Look, I got 3 kids. We're on the go all the time. Eating healthy is not always on the table for me. No pun intended. But with Go Slim, they've got answers, and they've got ways to work through it. 763-9600 is the phone number, 763-9600, or just swing by. They're on Blue Bonnet at Perkins for Go Slim Nutrition. All right, every day we go back in time. Jake takes us there. It's called This Day in History. Wow. You know, I put out a YouTube question thinking it was going to be one-sided, and I've only gotten 2 responses so far, and they're both on the opposite side of what we did.
Well, considering our answers, then that's 50-50.
I guess so. I don't know.
But it is time for This Day in History. We're kicking things off in 1937, kind of recently. National Gallery of Art was established by Congress.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not-
Important.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had a lot to do that day.
I had to.
Can you imagine being the first person to put that up in front of Congress? Like, Congress had to deal with real stuff up until that, right? Mm-hmm. Art. Paintings?
We should get an art gallery.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's totally our job. Mm-hmm. And then there's the first domino to fall into Congress running everything in our lives all the time. I'm cranky. I need to shut up. Go ahead.
1958, Elvis Presley joins the U.S. Army.
Yep.
1962, Mick Jagger and Keith Richards perform as Little Boy Blue and Blue Boys.
Okay.
1975, Muhammad Ali TKOs Chuck Wepner in 15 for heavyweight boxing title. And same day, same year, New Orleans R&B piano player Professor Longhair with the Meters perform at record release party for Paul McCartney and Wings' Venus and Mars aboard the Queen Mary in Long Beach, California.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Nice little touch.
1979, 10 rebounds and 10 assists as the Spartans cruised to a 101-67 victory by Michigan State's Irvin Magic Johnson. It registers triple-double with 29 points.
29 points, 10 boards, 10 assists, but that wasn't the only game that happened that day. 1979's NCAA tournament was legendary.
Yes, it
Because
was.
also on this day in 1970, do you have it or do I need to run with it?
You got it.
Okay. Also on this day in 1979, Indiana State, led by Larry Bird, advances to the NCAA championship. They beat DePaul 76-74. Bird had 35 points, 16 boards, 9 assists.
Jeez.
Did not have a triple-double, but you could see those two performances setting the table for what was to come.
And they were pretty much synonymous with each other their entire careers.
Yep.
It's crazy. 1992, this is a personal favorite one of mine. Jake's Women opens at Neil Simon Theater, New York City for 245 performances. Couldn't tell you a single thing about that play, but it's called Jake's Woman, and well, I love that. 1999, The Matrix, film written and directed by the Wachowskis, starring Keanu Reeves, Lawrence Fishburne, and Carrie Ann Moss, premieres.
Awesome.
Matrix came out today in 99. 2005, the U.S. version of The Office, created by Ricky Gervais and Stephen Merchant, developed by Greg Daniels, starring Steve Carell and John Krasinski. The Office premieres on NBC. 2015, NASA's Opportunity rover becomes the first to complete a Martian marathon.
We were talking about The Office when Patty G was on in the 6 o'clock hour.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's all the events. Let's get to the birthdays. First up, the dead man himself, The Undertaker, turns 57. Peyton Manning is 46. Jessica Chastain turns 45. Fun fact, Harry Houdini was born on this day in 1874. And finally, Chris Bosh turns 38. Got any for me?
Yeah, I got Jim Parsons from The Big Bang Theory.
Yeah.
He's 49 today. Former New Orleans, so Aaron Brooks and Peyton Manning have the same birthday. Former New Orleans Saints quarterback Aaron Brooks, born on this day in 1976. So Aaron and Peyton, forever
Very
connected
nice.
by a birthday. And one more, LSU Tiger Reed Ferguson.
Happy
Bills
birthday.
long snapper Reed Ferguson, born today.
Happy birthday to all those mentioned. One death to talk about, Johan Cruyff. He passed on this day in 2016. I know you don't know who that is,
No.
Brian, but for those who don't, basically think of Steph Curry in the 70s. So, like, very, very influential. Like, the entire game of soccer is based on his philosophy. And he's one heck of a player.
Okay, then I'll think of him like Steph Curry. He's hitting three-pointers all the time.
I mean, and also positionless sport. It's amazing. Anyway.
There's no comparison to Steph Curry. Steph Curry splashes threes all night.
I'm talking about
You don't
influence.
score in soccer.
Yeah, you do.
Oh, and a 1-0 barn burner. I called it nil, not 0.
There you go. We're improving. Steady growth. Finally, let's get to the holidays. It is National Cheesesteak Day. Never had a cheesesteak.
I'll take that. What?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh,
From
that's
Texas,
weird.
we don't do that.
All right.
The heck's wrong with you? National Chocolate-Covered Raisin Day.
That shouldn't be a thing. Raisinets don't need a thing.
How come?
You know what makes this chocolate better? Dried fruit. No.
Have you had it before?
Raisinets? Yeah!
Well, not Raisinets, but just like chocolate-covered raisins.
That's what Raisinets are.
Yeah, but like...
Raisinets are the chocolate-covered raisins with Kleenex is to facial tissue. You can just call it Raisinets.
Fair enough. And finally, it is National Cocktail Day.
That's way better than Raisinette
Saved
Day.
it for the end.
Yeah, no. Way to
end on a high for sure. But
Absolutely.
That is this day in history.
All right, we're late for a break. When we come back, let's check in on the legislative session. State Representative Jack McFarland joins us next. Please make sure that's him. Please make sure that's him and I didn't double book. right, we got more responses here. Troy says Careless Whispers like the beer chaser to Hungry Eyes. Oh, man. Oh. Yeah, I can see it, but it's better than a beer chaser, though. It's got saxophone. Saxophone, just quintessential 80s saxophone. The perfect song is the perfect country and western song by David Allan Coe. It is the title. Is that the name of the song? I always thought that song was You Never Called Me By My Name. It was all. Cheesesteak pizza is the best. It is good. Oh, yeah. Believe it or not, Domino's actually makes a decent one. But if you go someplace real, it's good, too. Someone take Jake to south of Philly and get him a whiz steak sandwich with peppers. Right.
That sounds amazing, actually.
Yeah, it is. Is south of Philly still open? Was that the one that was on Sherwood? Because I don't know if they're still open.
I thought you actually meant take me to Philadelphia.
No. It's a place. It was on Sherwood. It was called South of Philly, but I think they might have shut down. Dang. There was another place called Philly Me Up off of Jefferson by Drusilla. Both of them were really good.
Love me a good pun. All right, here we go.
$817 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Time for us to get caught up on the legislative session. Always love welcoming in State Representative Jack McFarland. Jack, welcome back to the show, man. How are you?
Good morning, Brian. Thank you for having me. Doing well and enjoying the bright, sunny sunshine.
Oh, it's been, that cold front that ripped through with the severe weather the other day has led to two fantastic back-to-back, or a fantastic yesterday and was promising to be another one today. Let's get into the nitty-gritty of what's going on at the Capitol. What's hot to start things off, and what's caught your eye?
Well, so tomorrow, Friday, the ballots for the veto session have to be all turned in, and they'll be counted by the clerk to determine if we'll have a veto session override. That's been the topic by everyone the last few days, and I think that'll continue to be a hot topic going into next week. But like I said, those ballots will be counted tomorrow, and if 53 members send in their ballots that they don't want to have one, we won't have one. If the ballots aren't submitted, then we will have one.
Walk us through the process here of how that works, because we're talking about the redistricting, right?
Yes, sir. Talking about the congressional maps that were vetoed, both one by Speaker Scheck-Snyder and then one by Senator Sharon Hewitt.
So let's walk through that to just kind of get a better feel for how it plays out. If y'all vote in favor of a veto override session, do you just push pause on the current session, or do you circle back after you're done with the business at hand to do this later?
No, we would put a pause on the regular session, go into a veto override session that could last up to 5 days, and then come back into the regular session.
Okay, so the business at hand, the business that y'all are tasked with doing right now, would just have to wait for a little bit. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it knocks a 90-day session down to 85 days, or does it push back sine die on the back end of it?
No, I don't think it pushes it back.
Right.
If we do have a veto override session, it is my understanding that would potentially begin on Wednesday of next week, and it could be called for 5 days, which obviously we only meet on Monday through Thursday, so we really would only miss 2 days of the regular session.
Would you even miss that much? I mean, I would think that most people's minds are already made up. There's not a whole lot of room to dig in on this one, unless y'all were just going back to square one to redraft maps.
That's correct, and I don't think that I think everyone, like you said, has already made their mind up. They know where they're going to be at on this, and I don't think there are maps proposed in the regular session should the veto override fail to redraw the maps again during the regular session. So I think that the leadership has taken the appropriate steps to have us in a position to do that, should it need to be done.
Do you have any take or takeaway on where it's headed? Is your gut telling you it's going one way or the other?
My gut tells me the majority of the members I've talked to are in favor of a veto override session. I think the votes will be there to override. I think it's going to be real close, but I do think the votes will potentially be there based on the votes during the regular session.
You know, and there's something to this in the regards of it's not just about whether or not the legislators are in favor of the maps or not. There's an inevitability that no matter what happens, this is going to go to the courts. So overriding the veto actually expedites that process and gets us on our way to moving forward rather than going back to square one and doing the whole dang thing over again.
Yes, I agree. I do think that it will end up in court either way, regardless of how the veto override session ends. And there was a ruling by the Supreme Court yesterday concerning the redistricting maps. It was, I believe, it's my interpretation that it was in favor of our congressional maps. It would lead us to believe that if the veto override session is successful, that the courts would rule in our favor.
State Representative Jack McFarland is our guest, and then that's it. We're kind of far out from that one, but it's great insight. Stepping away from veto overrides or redistricting maps, what else is hot right now?
Well, the session is going along rather quickly. Lots of bills have already been flowing through the committees. It's kind of unusual to have this many bills being heard in committees and on the floor this early. So, look, it's been a host of things. The big talk is around all the money that's available, the surplus dollars, the federal dollars to be spent. It's kind of unusual for us to be in a position in Louisiana to have all this one-time money to spend on the projects. So that's been a big discussion is, how do we spend this money? How do we prevent reoccurring dollars from slipping into the budget that put us in a bad position in a few years? Mm-hmm. So I think a lot of time's being spent on that in both the Appropriations Committee, the capital outlays, the Ways and Means, the Finance in the Senate, and the Rev and Fisk.
State Representative Jack McFarland is our guest. So infrastructure is going to be a big part of those one-time dollars because if you're looking for one-time expenses, that is just it's like it's handwritten for it. One of the bigger projects is the new Mississippi River Bridge in Baton Rouge. You are obviously not from Baton Rouge. What's your take on what the governor has to say about setting aside $500 million towards that new bridge?
Look, that's been an athlete conversation, and I think it's going to continue into this regular session as we decide which direction we want to go with appropriating those dollars. Look, I think the Baton Rouge Bridge affects not just people in Baton Rouge. It affects everyone traveling I-10, which is all of Louisiana and most of the country. I think some of the challenges is that this has been discussed for so long that by now we would expect that those in this area would have an agreement about where they would like a new bridge or what the proposal would be, whether it be adding on to the existing bridge. So I think that's the challenges about setting aside $500 million is how long would it take for it to be spent, and would you see legislators in the future potentially start grabbing that money should we start having budget shortfalls in 2 or 3 years? So I think there's some challenges there, but I am encouraged. I think everyone agrees that we do want to designate a large percentage of that money to go toward engineering, environmentals. I see a consensus among members that everyone wants to make a concerted effort to begin that initial investment into the Baton Rouge Bridge. I do see that happening with everyone.
Is that a yes vote from you as far as this is concerned, or are there contingencies?
There are contingencies. I mean, if we know exactly where the money is going and how quickly it's going to be spent, but when you start looking at the total overall cost of it, I think there has to be a commitment by the legislature to fund the rest of that bridge. And there are proposals. Senate President Cortez has a piece of legislation with funding that would go toward completing that project. But once again, those are projects that are I believe, as I understand it, are 5 to 10 years away. So I think it presents some challenges when you see all the other needs throughout the state that are what I call shelf ready. They're shovel ready projects ready to be built. A lot of that is preservation. And that's the hesitation among members, is that we know we have projects that are ready to go today, and we could go ahead and make those investments, which in the future frees up dollars for the Baton Rouge Bridge for long-term funding. So I think that's the challenge we have to overcome.
State Representative Jack McFarland's our guest. The level of frustration in Baton Rouge over this has just grown to the point of just complete cynicism at this point. We're relatively certain that well, I shouldn't say we. A few of the folks I've talked to, if it's not going to happen now, it's just not going to happen, and we're just going to deal with gridlock from now on. There will always be a reason to punt on this. You let off with it. We're looking at an opportunity right now with one-time dollars that we've never seen before, and God willing, we'll never see again, because the reason we have those one-time dollars was a bad thing. But it's just, I don't know. We've reached a tipping point here. Outside of the infrastructure dollars, where else would one-time dollars be used, and where are we seeing more consensus on those dollars?
So where I do see a tremendous consensus is on water and sewer infrastructure investment. Mm-hmm. I think everyone would agree that was almost $1.3 billion of requests made from local governments and rural water systems, sewer systems to make those investments. Initially, we put $315 million, maybe $330 million toward that. I do see where the governor has made a proposal of an additional $559 million. Mm-hmm. I do see a consensus there where everyone agrees that we have to make, right now, while we have this money, the largest investment in water and sewer infrastructure in this state's history. I think it does move us toward having quality water and providing a safe environment for our citizens. There is a good consensus there. I have to agree with that.
State Representative Jack McFarland, we got up for another 2.5 minutes. Got to open up the floor for what you're proposing. Well, what bills do you have out there that look like they're moving forward? Well,
some I have are addressing biomass and renewable energy, and I have another one I just dropped yesterday on the infrastructure. Going back and looking at the dollars that were passed last year on the vehicle sales tax, how they were allocated. I would like to see more than 25% contributed to the preservation. I would like to see a minimum of 40% toward preservation and still save 60% of that money for the mega projects that were listed last year, which include the Baton Rouge Bridge, which would still have a funding mechanism to complete that with the $500 million. If it moves forward, you would still have that sustainable revenue source to finish funding that bridge.
This is the bill. This is the bill about the. It changes the way the money is deposited in the Transportation Trust Fund are used. Is that the one?
It does. The money that's going into the sub fund from the vehicle sales tax was divided 75-25. 75 to projects listed within the bill for which we call mega projects, 25% to preservation. Now, one of the problems we had was in that bill we didn't have a measure, or we didn't create an opportunity for us to utilize that money for match for federal dollars. I also included in my legislation an opportunity for us to utilize those dollars to go and receive federal dollars, utilizing that construction sub-fund with the money that was designated from the vehicle sales tax. So that's another important measure there that I think we really need to be paying attention to, because Louisiana historically has received one of the largest amounts in the country from federal transportation dollars, but it's because we've always brought as much money as we could to receive that. So this puts us in a better position long term, being able to go utilize our federal match.
And if I read the bill correctly, and I read it late last night, so I might have been a little bit hazy, but if I read the bill correctly, it also streamlines things to let DOTD be DOTD. It removes a little bit of red tape, if I'm not mistaken.
It does. It does allow DOTD to have what I call a little bit more freedom to move around and exercise its ability to utilize those dollars, it does. It tremendously frees up some of the red tape for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And this would help out with a number of projects, not just the mega projects, but those that fall on I don't want to say a lower priority scale, but a lower dollar amount to be sure. He is State Representative Jack McFarland. We always appreciate the time, sir. We'll get caught up towards the end of the session once we see more things develop.
Thank you, Brian. I'm looking forward to it.
Always looking forward to it. Always nice to get caught up with somebody from Jonesboro as well. And, yeah, like I thought, his take on the Mississippi River Bridge, yes, with contingencies. Okay. I'm glad to hear the yes on the end. And there's get us a location, get us an environmental, and move it forward. Those two things seem to be the biggest sticking points. Now, if those two sticking points can be resolved and others pop up, well, then we know it's just people pushing back and not legitimate questions. But as far as Representative McFarland's concerned, great info right there, great insight. We'll pick it up after news. We missed CBS News. Here's our local news, traffic, weather. Then the Baton Rouge Fire Department's coming up next. Huh. Yeah, no shit. Added bureaucracy, ladies and germs. Added bureaucracy. Hey! There he is. Come on in. You're up next. You know, Jay, you've met Jake, right? Doing all right.
So what kind of stuff are you going to need to know today?
Just the crew that went down there, what their goals were, have they reported back yet? What are we looking at rebuild wise?
Gotcha.
Thank God they didn't find any more bodies.
Correct. Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But a little bit about the nature of the crew is what, like a little bit about the Louisiana USAR task force. Like it just,
Okay.
This isn't y'all's first rodeo,
No,
so
no, indeed.
we'll break that down.
How you been?
Good.
Good deal.
Good. Running all over the place.
I know the feeling.
So, you have kids?
Yes.
How many?
2. My oldest will be graduating from the University of Arkansas in
Oh, wow.
May for a graduate degree. She's got her undergrad. And then my youngest is 8.
Oh, wow. I thought mine were stretched out. I have a freshman, a 4th grader, and a kindergartner. Yeah.
All right.
So,
Yeah.
freshman in high school, not college.
Yeah.
So.
Oh.
It used to be fall was our busy time for sports, and then spring was like a lot lighter.
Not so much. Yeah. It's like every time I think I get a reprieve, something kicks back up. It's like I didn't know she was into basketball. It's like they just keep changing. The only thing that's constant is gymnastics. So, yeah.
Yeah, thank God we're not gymnastics. I got my freshman daughter, 4th grade daughter, kindergarten son.
Okay.
Yeah. The 4th grade daughter was in gymnastics for a little bit, but she did like that light, like not really super competitive tumbling and whatnot. But she's all about basketball.
Awesome. Good deal.
Yeah. So like we got to work with a trainer once a week. Take a couple weeks off from that, but she's part of this Mongoose basketball.
Okay.
With, Bo Brock. She had practice last night. It's been great.
Awesome.
But it's just you never home.
Correct.
837 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Taking a look at your forecast real quick as the cold front that moved through the other day actually reset the weather to where we are just looking at gorgeous weather for the next few days. Today, high of 74, overnight low of 41. You might catch a light afternoon shower, but that's about it. Tomorrow, sunny, high of 75. Saturday, sunny, high of 80. Rinse and repeat for Sunday and Monday. Gets a little bit warmer into next week as Monday and Tuesday look like they're going to be in the mid-80s. Right now we're at 54 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge. Now, that cold front, while it reset the weather really nicely, also brought about a lot of violent weather and a lot of destruction. 17 tornadoes touched down in Texas. 1 person died in those tornadoes. Nothing happened through Lake Charles, Lafayette, Baton Rouge, and then all of a sudden, before the storm system, before the squall line leaves the state, Arabi, Gretna, Slidell all get hit with tornadoes as well, and among them, fatality in Arabi. The Baton Rouge Fire Department, as part of the Louisiana USAR Task Force 2, hit the ground in St. Bernard Parish. They were assisting with search and rescue efforts, also helped conduct damage assessments in the impacted areas. This was a team of not just Baton Rouge, but Zachary, Central, and West Feliciana that headed on down there. Joining us now to talk about this, joining us now to talk about their role, Justin Hill from the fire department. Welcome back, sir. How are you?
Doing well. How about yourself?
Doing all right. Let's get you a little more on this one. That mic's a little bit weak. We got to shout right into it. No, it's glad to have you back on here. I know it's never a good thing to have to send these folks out, but there is, as a Baton Rouge citizen, it is a little bit reassuring to know that our folks know what they're doing enough to be called upon by others to help and to serve when they can.
Yes, they're a very unique group of men and women that are part of this team. It's about 60 members from Baker, Zachary, Baton Rouge, Central, East Side. It's first responders throughout the community, and they train for these type of events. We live in an area where we get a lot of severe weather, but these groups are not only deployed to severe weather events, but they're also deployed to things like parades. When we got a parade going on down there,
Sure.
We'll set up an incident management team comprised of some of our members, so that way they're able to quickly respond to emergencies down in the midst of all those people.
We'll get around to, I want to kind of do this backwards to make sure that the news at hand is covered first, and that is what went on down in Arabi. We'll get back around to the task force itself and what goes into the training and whatnot. But what have the reports been thus far?
So they went down. They were initially called out the night of the storm, but they were told to stand down because they had first responders on the scene that were doing those initial search and rescues. They were told to report down there that morning. So at 6 o'clock in the morning the next morning, they went down there and helped do secondary searches and damage assessments on some of the impacted area.
A lot of what we've seen so far is property damage. And thank God, just the one fatality. I was, spent most of yesterday wondering when the report was going to come back in that, you see a house that's kind of demolished, the door gets kicked in, and then you find like a whole family or something. Fortunately, that hasn't been the case. But what have they been telling you about what they found yesterday?
Just a lot of destruction. Tornado damage is a lot different than the damage that we're used to dealing with hurricanes. It's just crazy how, one house can be standing and unharmed, and then the next house next door could be just totally demolished. So just the destruction that you've seen. I saw some reports this morning of the path was about 11 miles long, and that's just a lot of destruction, and those people have a long road of recovery ahead of them.
11 miles for a tornado in Louisiana. Kevin Ford was on with me doing the coverage. That's usually the tornadoes in Louisiana are quick hitters.
Correct.
11 miles is pretty good sustainment from a tornado standpoint. Also, an EF3 is no joke, and some of the video that we've seen has just been brutal. Are they still down there? How long do they stay?
No, they came back yesterday afternoon. They got back about 7, 8 o'clock last night. That included, cleaning up the equipment and getting it ready to deploy for the next emergency. But, so they were able to come back home yesterday evening.
What put this task force together?
Just the need. We live in an area where we're impacted by so many storms, and we're not the only area that has these type of task force. They're throughout the country, and it's just whenever a community is hit by something to this magnitude, your local resources, your local emergency crews are not going to be able to handle that. So the need for other crews to get together and help out it's always there. So other communities have these USAR teams, these urban search and rescue teams as well, but we're positioned in a unique area where we unfortunately do get impacted by events like this.
What goes into training for something like this?
It's constant training. All the members are cross-trained in different disciplines, so they're not just regular firefighters, first responders. They make sure they're trained in hazardous material, they're trained in confined space rescue, they're trained in structural collapse, and just a lot of disciplines go into the members of the team. Swift water rescue, boat operations, so whatever they could face out there in the field, that's what they're training for, and it's an ongoing training.
Most of this happens over off Nicholson?
It happens throughout the state, wherever the training is available at. We have swift water crews that are going to be going up to Mississippi here within the next month and doing some swift water training up there as well. So it's just constant ongoing training. That,
I'm assuming, is what it sounds like.
Yeah.
How do you have a rehearsal for that?
Well, you throw people in swift water and practice on getting people out.
I mean, wow. Okay, that got real fast. Who signs up for this? Is it people that are recruited, or is it people that volunteer? Or
volunteer recruiting, yeah. Mm-hmm. So we're looking for members that are already part of the response community and have a basic skill set, and then they volunteer to be on this team.
The process. I mean, I would assume the process. You got to have a certain amount of training before you're even in.
Correct, and then once you're on the team, you're going to get additional training. So it's just constant training, always trying to be a state of readiness.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about tornadoes specifically. Is this a matter of just? It's going to sound bad to say it out loud. Is this a matter of sifting through rubble, or is there a lot more that goes into it?
That's a good bit of it. First you got to assess the building to make sure it's structurally sound to go in. I mean, I know it sounds weird, but make sure it's sound enough for you to go in there and start shifting through, because it could be kind of hanging on by a thread, and you start moving rubble, you can collapse a void space where somebody may be at, so you got to be very careful about that. A lot of the teams will have structural engineers that are along with them that are able to assess structures before they go in there to make sure they're sound enough for them to go in, or shore it up to where, all right, we can brace this portion and now go inside there and start doing our searches and things like that.
It actually doesn't sound weird, especially, and I guess this is just emblematic of being in Louisiana, is the number of raised homes we have changes that equation.
Correct. Yes, that's going to definitely impact it. But, I mean, think about it. The house doesn't need to be raised. Single-story house, partial collapse, there's, void spaces that may be in there where a person may be still living, but the house doesn't need to be raised for it to need to be assessed before we start sending people in there to try to look for people.
Yeah, and my initial reaction is thinking the difference between being on a slab, you got more ground under you, I guess it would be the case. So structurally sound, yes, I would imagine everything else plays into this as well, like electrical and all that.
Correct. That's why the members have to be trained in different disciplines to be able to recognize, hey, this is an environment where I may have natural gas that's leaking. Now we need to do something about that before we go in there. And obviously the electrical concerns if there's still power to the building. But, yeah, it's always all these other areas that at first glance you don't think about, but now you're part of that response team, and now you got to start thinking about all those other variables.
What are a few of the other variables? What are the ones I'm not thinking of?
Well, just hazardous materials. Hey, this person had, propane cylinders in their house that we weren't thinking about, or, it's a commercial building where we have people inside where there's chemicals part of that, that are stored in that commercial building. So just those type of things that at first glance you're not being mindful of, but you really got to pay attention to those in these disaster situations.
You touched on this a little bit ago, but I want to kind of open it up a little bit deeper. How are tornadoes different than hurricanes when it comes to a response?
Well, the devastation and then just the warning that you get. With hurricanes, we get a good bit of warning before they happen. With tornadoes, we don't have that, advance warning like we do with hurricanes, and the likelihood of finding somebody in there might be a little bit greater because they didn't get that warning, the time of day that it hit, where they're more likely to be in the house and things like that. So, yeah.
What's the interaction like? And I know we didn't really have to, it didn't come up this time around, but what's the interaction like with the rest of the public that wants to help?
Yes, we're naturally inclined to go out and make sure that we try to help our neighbors and stuff, but sometimes that help can get in the way of the responders actually trying to do the job out there. And those helpers in the community have all good intentions, but now they may get hurt because they don't recognize some of those hazards that they may be facing now. Not only do we have the people that were initially impacted, but now we're trying to deal with concerned citizens that were impacted by actions that they've taken after the event. So just something that we always want to be mindful of and thinking about, that we want to help, but now we've become part of the problem because we've gotten hurt because we didn't have the proper training.
Kind of off topic, but not really. Has the Cajun Navy changed that game?
A little bit, yeah. They're out there. They do training internally and things like that to make sure that they're better prepared for the job that they're doing. So.
We obviously got the chance to serve our neighbors with this one. I say we, like I was going on. But we got the chance to serve our neighbors with this one. Who do we call on when we're the ones that get hit?
Well, we reach out to those other teams as well. Like I said, we're part of a USAR team here, and if we're impacted here where we can't respond, then we have other teams that we'll reach out to. But we do respond locally as well. Like during the flood events here, that team comes together. During hurricanes, during civil unrest, things of that nature, these teams come together and they help out. And
yeah, it's a USAR Task Force 2. Mm-hmm. I'm guessing just every major metropolitan area in Louisiana has one.
Yeah, there's Louisiana Task Force 1, then Task Force 2, and then all other kind of areas. Different states have different task forces, regional task forces that'll come together and respond to these type of emergencies.
About 60 folks all together. You said men and women all together. Do they all have their own specialties within?
So they generally come in with, a firefighter, and then they'll cross-train into different disciplines. So everybody we try to cross-train as many members as we can. So you may come in as a firefighter, but now you're going to be doing some swift water training. You're going to do some confined space rescue training, structural collapse training. They try to get as much training under each person's belt as possible. So that way, it doesn't matter where you're at on that team. You can all be deployed together. You have the skills to go out into the field and work.
He is Justin Hill from the Baton Rouge Fire Department talking about Louisiana's USAR Task Force 2 team. USAR is Urban Search and USAR, Urban Search and Rescue Task Force Team 2. Called down to Araby to help out and back home in short order as well. It's a mixed bag of emotions because you do want to be able to serve. It's just the tragedy that precedes it always gets in the way. Justin, I appreciate the time, man. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Coming up on 850 at Talk 107.3 FM. Let's talk about that state of emergency when we come back. Governor John Bel Edwards did declare a state of emergency in 4 different parishes. We've got some audio for you coming up next, right after we check Your Money Now here on Talk 107.3. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very good.
All right.
Very
Good
informative.
And
it's got to be a weird spot to be like. I would imagine there's a lot of hurry up and wait with something like this.
Yes, it is.
And with a pop-up storm,
it's unfortunate that we do need teams like that, but it's great to know that we have these teams available for us that can respond rapidly and help out whenever something like this happens.
And something like this, you can't deploy ahead of time because you don't know where it's going to hit. It could have hit us just as easily.
Correct.
So, yeah. Good stuff.
All right. Well, anytime.
My pleasure. Thank you so much. You too. You too.
cuts or no?
Yep.
Joe Buck and John Smoltz welcoming you back to the City Center Convenience Mart. Well, John, the stage is set for the final.
All right.
Heather's moment has arrived, and you just hope all that training pays off. Heather lays down.
See, Haggai's got "You Never Call Me by My Name" stuck in his head.
He is a wily veteran.
How miserable is traffic going to be when they cut the bridge down to one lane? Unbelievably miserable. My bigger question, Nyquillis, is how many people are going to be smart enough to get off the damn interstate in the first place? Galen says the congressional redistricting stance could be a stall strategy by the legislature to get past the midterms with the current districts. It's not going to go through the court soon enough to have any kind of turnaround in that regard anyway. I think where we're at right now, we are going to vote in this election, in this fall election, with our current districts regardless. Troy says, Hag, if you're... If you're referring to the perfect sappy songs that have a three-way tie between Every Time You Go Away by Paul Young, Remember When by Alan Jackson, and Do You Remember by Phil Collins. I don't think I know Do You Remember by Phil Collins. I'm partial to Baby Shark. Catchy lines are easy to remember. You're welcomes for the earworm. I mean, it just... So if you follow me on Twitter and you watch the little preview video I do the night before, I actually had Careless Whisper in my head at the time because I had one segment of the show that wasn't booked out yet. It was Dan Bruyette. I was waiting on confirmation. He had to get where he was going before he could respond. Anyway, as I'm doing the show, as I'm doing the little preview video, I said, there's still some couple segments unresolved on tomorrow's show, but maybe it's better this way. We heard each other whisper things we want to say. And then from there, it's like the rest of the night. I'm done. That song's in my head all night long. Have you seen, Jake said this song for his generation is a meme, and it totally is. Have you seen the guy who goes to all the public places with his saxophone just to play Careless Whisper everywhere? Like getting run off by mall security?
It's beautiful.
It is.
So beautiful.
I want that guy in studio. I want to have live bumper music one day. I got to find out what the day that Careless Whisper was released, and I want to have somebody playing saxophone all day long. I don't care if I have to pay somebody from Tiger Band to come out.
I can get somebody.
Can they play Careless Whisper coming back in from
That's
every...
probably the first thing that they practice.
Okay, holy crap. This might be a thing.
I have somebody in mind as we speak. I could let
How much
him
you
know.
think I can get him for?
I don't even know, honestly.
I mean,
I'll
like
ask
$50 in YouTube clout? And
I can ask for his rates. It would just be one playing of Careless Whisper.
over and over again.
Oh, over and over.
3 hours worth.
3 hours worth.
I want him in
Careless
for the
Whisper.
show. He has no role on the show, but to be on mic. No, he's got to be on mic 4 so he can be seen.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously step aside when we have guests.
Yeah.
But you play Careless Whisper as the rejoin. Obviously not for the benchmark segments of the hour opens, but live bumper music. Careless Whisper.
I'm being for real with you. If you're dead serious about this,
I might be.
I will
I might
contact
be.
him. I will contact him and we will do this.
All right, hang on. Released in 1984. What day in 1984?
We could do this.
July 24th, 1984. So today is the... I'm sorry, this year, let's see. Celebrate the 38th anniversary of Careless Whisper. We'll get someone to play saxophone. We'll do live bumper music on July 24th.
That is A-okay with me.
I don't know that another morning show has done this before.
We're breaking new ground.
It's the 38th anniversary, though. Who the hell celebrates the... I don't want to wait 2 years to do this, though.
No.
Should I find a different song?
No.
Okay, but there are other 80s
The lore's
songs.
been established,
No,
Brian.
I understand that Careless Whisper is the perfect song, but there are other 80s songs. Like, if anything that came out in...
You want someone to come out with a synthesizer and just, like, start beaming?
I got to see if something came out in 82 that would have the same impact.
Just look at like the Billboard Top 100.
Yeah,
for
Billboard Top 100,
1982.
1982.
Want to talk about this for the segment instead?
I kind of do.
All right, we'll bump you in and then let's get going.
Yeah. .856 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Once again, oh, by the way, thanks again to Justin Hill talking about the USAR team sent down to Arabi. It's a weird spot to always be in that, or not to always be. It's a weird spot to feel the love, obviously, but the need for it. It's our hearts are with the folks over there in St. Bernard Parish and New Orleans East and St. Tammany Parish. By the way, speaking of which, I'm trying to stay on task as best I can. Let's get the business at hand out of the way before we do the goofy stuff on the end. Governor John Bell Edwards did declare a state of emergency for 4 parishes affected by Tuesday's storms. He says that the teams are making their best estimates of damages to homes and business to prepare to request for FEMA assistance.
There's a dollar threshold, and we're going to have about $7.6 million in damage to public infrastructure if we're going to get assistance with that from the federal government.
Governor's emergency declaration was for St. Bernard, Orleans, Jefferson, and St. Tammany. He says residents can help speed up recovery aid by taking digital photos of damage to their homes or businesses and share that information with GOSEP, with the Governor's Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness.
But we're asking homeowners and renters to self-report to GOSEP so that we can keep a list. But you can do that on your phone or on the computer. You go to damage.la.gov.
Now, a lot of Louisiana storm victims have expressed frustration with their insurance companies for refusing claims, lowballing settlement offers, and dragging their feet. Edwards says this is usually not the case with tornado damage because there are generally fewer claims filed than with hurricanes.
And I have every expectation that the insurance companies are going to step up and do what they're supposed to do, and without undue delay.
And he's right, because, well, he's right in the sense that there's going to be fewer people making claims. A tornado with an 11-mile track leaving damage in its wake and destruction in its wake is one thing. A hurricane that devastates multiple parishes all at once is altogether another one. So if you watch the show on YouTube, you know what we've been talking about during the breaks here, and I think it's led to something that might become a thing. Jake, have you heard of another morning show doing live bumper music on the show?
I can't say that I have. Live now?
Live bumper music.
No.
Just rejoins from break.
With just someone in studio.
Someone in studio. So we've had a poll question going on YouTube. If you're not watching on YouTube, you should be. Mornings with Brian Haldane. Go ahead and subscribe while you're there because you'll get great content like this. Is Careless Whisper the perfect song?
I'd wager yes.
There's not enough time left in the show to explain why we're asking that question.
Then you have that
but, but the question is Careless Whisper the perfect song? And from that, Jake was saying for his generation, Careless Whisper is more of a meme.
Still a great song.
It's still a great song.
Absolutely.
But the memeable part of it is the saxophone solo. Mm-hmm. I want to bring in a saxophonist to do live bumper music on the show, possibly on the anniversary of Careless Whisper's release date.
I know a guy.
I think we can get this done. I think this would be fun. His job is going to be like...
It's going to be the easiest X amount of dollars ever going to earn.
Turn some coin, playing 18 seconds of music coming back in from every break.
Easy.
Oh, let's get out of here. Fox News Rundown's next. You know what it's going to be like?
What?
It's going to be like, what's up with that? You know the SNL sketch, Kenan Thompson?
What's up with that?
Ooh-wee. That's going to be the equivalent. He's going to just play a little bit of saxophone. We'll get Ted Lasso in here in a tracksuit to do his dance.
Yes.
Which, by the way, the Ted Lasso dance and the What's Up With That dance are the same dance. Like, let it be known. Anyway, okay, so if we were to do a 40th anniversary. Oh.
Wait, what?
Oh. 1982.
Sorry, I'm multitasking.
Here we go. 1982. You ready for this? We're going to go backwards here because there's some good ones in the top 25. We're only going to go back to number 50, though. You ready? Freeze Frame by the J. Giles Band. I could bring in a keyboard player.
I probably heard it. I don't recognize the name.
It's a good song. Trouble by Lindsey Buckingham. I just brought up what's up with that. Here's the thing, though. Hall & Oates had 2 songs in the Billboard Hot 100 or in the top 50 that year. At least 2 so far. Private Eyes was number 44. And what was the other one they had was I Can't Go For That was number 15. I think we might have to do a Call & Oates segment at some point.
Okay.
You know about Call & Oates, right?
Yes.
Okay. Have we done that on the show yet? Call & Oates?
No.
Okay, so for the uninitiated, Call & Oates is your Hall & Oates emergency hotline.
I was wondering why you were saying it wrong.
Call & Oates?
I'm pretty sure.
I'm not
it's
saying it
Hall-
wrong. It's Call & Oates.
Okay.
There is an
Okay.
800 number you can call. There is an 800 number you can call to get on-demand Hall & Oates, and it's an automated menu, and it's like this pleasant woman's voice says, "Thank you for calling Call & Oates, your emergency Hall & Oates hotline. For private eyes, press 1. For one-on-one, press 2. For man-eater, press 3." And you press the button, and you just get the song, and it's this crappy, like, it's definitely low-tech. It's not an MP3
Is it
version.
being put on hold by like a fast food joint.
Yes, it's basically you're calling to get hold music, but it's Hall & Oates music. I don't know who thought of this, and I don't know why it still exists in 2022.
It's because we're talking about it right now.
Yeah. Call & Oates, your emergency Hall & Oates hotline.
That is glorious.
All right, so I think Call & Oates is going to be a bit at some point. Also, Heat of the Moment by Asia was 1982.
I'm gonna look this up.
Open Arms by Journey. Eye in the Sky by Alan Parsons Project. Damn, 82 was underrated. We Got the Beat by the Go-Go's. Let It Whip by Daz Band. Shake It Up by the Cars. All here in the top 50. Jenny, 867-5309. What else was Tainted Love by Soft Cell?
Amazing song.
Yeah.
I know that one.
Okay, Saxophone Laden Abracadabra by the Steve Miller Band.
I know the Steve Miller Band. Don't know the song.
Abracadabra. Oh, number 6 from 1982. You were working as a waitress in a cocktail bar. The Human League. Don't You Want Me? I can't hear that song without automatically hearing the Bag of Donuts. The Go-Go's, Our Lips Are Sealed, getting outside of the top 50. I Ran So Far Away by the Flock of Seagulls. It's Gonna Take America. Love Will Turn You Around. Journey. Don't Stop Believing was 1982.
Well, that's an easy one.
We might have to get a keyboard/piano in here. That would, just celebrate 40 years.
When did it come out?
Don't Stop Believing. Hang on.
I mean, was it a single or did it drop with an album?
As the single, it was number 73. Get Down on It by Kool and the Gang. Any Day Now by Ronnie Millsap. Ronnie Millsap making the cut. What up? Vacation by the Go-Go's. Do I Do by Stevie Wonder. Holy shit. Arthur's Theme by Christopher Cross. Oh, that would be just cheesy enough.
I think we should ham it up.
Oh, we have to. This can't be a serious bit.
No.
This has to be so unbelievably over the top.
No, like I'm totally ready to get lost in the cheese sauce.
When you get caught between the moon and New York City. Oh, it was actually released in October of 81, made the charts in 82. Damn it, we've missed the 40-year anniversary of Don't Stop Believing by Journey.
Wait, when did it come out?
October of 81.
Imagine I'm like in my first day of not being shadowed. I'm just doing my thing, and then I have to bring in a keyboard guy. I'm doing, that'd be an interesting start to my career.
Every little thing she does is magic. I mean, the flip side of this is I could just bring in the Molly Ringwalds, and we'll just do the whole thing. Arthur's Theme. Friggin' Arthur came out in August of 81. Oh, well. All right, let me know what you think. Should we celebrate the 38th anniversary of Careless Whisper with a live saxophonist in studio?
Yes.
Out of my own pocket, mind you. Cash, maybe a gift certificate to Mooyah.
Yes.
And he's got to do it all on TikTok, right?
Yeah.
Whoever this is, I say he, it might be a she.
The person I'm thinking of is a he.
Yes, sir. We're still on YouTube. Hey, has anybody done live bumper music in talk radio?
Oh, sure.
You think?
Oh, yeah.
I got to find an example. I feel like we'd be breaking new ground here.
Probably for us. Sure.
I've had Careless Whisper. Not on this show. No, this show hasn't done it. Like,
Well, that's what I'm saying. I doubt we at the Guarantee has done
right.
it forever.
But somebody somewhere has. Yeah.
Oh, we'll have the live orchestra and
I'm bringing in one saxophonist on July 24th of this year to celebrate the 38th anniversary of the release of Careless Whisper. It's, yeah.
It's a great idea.
I'm down. All right, YouTube, we got to go. We will see you tomorrow. Haggai Davis will be in. A lot of Friday stuff going on. We're going to talk with a psychologist tomorrow and get inside Vladimir Putin's head.
Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah.
good luck.
Yeah.
That brain is a
The
gulag.
victim mentality of Vladimir Putin. This is going to be good stuff. Whole lot more coming your way as well. We'll see you later.
Later.